paint. They color correct the truth till it fades away. Face on Mars stares back with ancient eyes. Pyramids rising where the dead wind cries. Cylinders gleaming in the rover's glare. Stone circles standing like they don't belong there. Brian Corey Dobbs got the footage on lock. John Ward slicing through the pixels non-stop. Sahara Cosmos, Ricardo Calvario, Jason Huffman, Shaman, 7-Eleven, Alexander Cheskiewicz. We're all in. Mars Disclosure Live, ripping the lies apart tonight. Pyramids on Mars, life in the dirt, ancient cities buried. Feel the hurt. Mars Disclosure Live, truth is burning through the red sky. We expose the history, the nuked out past, potential for life. It's ours at last. It's ours at last. Xenon 2029 still ringing in the air. Somebody glassed the planet, left it bare. Blue planet red, got the proof on film. Independent eyes, we overwhelm. Rovers catch the shadows, artifacts in frame. They call it geology, we call it shame. Mars Disclosure Live, ripping the lies apart tonight. Pyramids on Mars, life in the dirt, ancient cities buried. Feel the hurt. Mars Disclosure Live, truth is burning through the red sky. We expose the history, the nuked out past, potential for life.
Sponsored by Spores MD for your personal mind-body wellness journey.
Boom. Greetings, humans. We are live in Dave's Multiverse, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Rumble, plus across 7 other YouTube channels for another episode of Mars Disclosure Live with our all-star planet. The red planet is blowing up right now. Mars anomalies are finally going mainstream, and the whole world is starting to take notice, including that mind-blowing 3-sided pyramid Brian just highlighted in his new recent segment. Also, shout out to Gary of Mars Revealer, because we're going to be showing one of his posts today. Today, we're diving head first into one of even more jaw-dropping anomalous features uncovered by our incredible independent researchers using raw NASA imagery. Buckle up, space cadets. This is going to be wild, thought-provoking ride you won't want to miss. We've got guests all over the place, starting with Sarah Cosmos. Sarah is engaging, is the engaging co-host of Universe Unveiled podcast. Check it out down below. She brings fresh, intuitive insights into ancient mysteries, cosmic connections, and alternative views of our universe that always inspire deeper thinking. Sarah, welcome to the show tonight. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm glad to be here again and learn with you guys. Some of the most knowledgeable out there on this topic, and I'm ready to dig into it. And sweet song, by the way.
Yeah, that really pumped me up. That got me in the mood. I've been jamming to that all week. You can thank Suno Music AI and about 6 hours of my own personal work to make that happen. It actually goes another minute. I just didn't want to make the countdown go too long. We got Jason, Shaman 7-Eleven. He's a passionate independent researcher with unique shamanic perspective on ancient history and hidden truths. You can always find him wandering around in Alabama, barefoot in the wilderness. His compelling insights always make for captivating and thought-provoking discussions. He is the co-host of the Shaman and Philosopher podcast. Jason Huffman, how's it going?
What's up, dude? Happy to be here. You know, not all who wander are lost. And I must say that was a badass kick-ass song, dude. I mean, the lyrics, everything were absolutely perfect. I'm happy to see too, we're still sponsored by Spores psychedelic mushrooms. You know, humans sponsored by mushrooms. That's got to be, you know, both an ad and a slogan that probably aliens floating around observing us right now use, going, hey, did you see we did that with mushrooms? It was a bunch of monkeys to start with. And anyway, I'm happy to be here to talk about Mars disclosure. It's an exciting topic, and even though Brian's not here,
Brian
have
is
him-
here, I think. Hold on one second. There he
Brian,
is.
welcome, Brian.
Hold on one
Brian's
second.
in a restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give
All
him
right,
an
well,
intro
I'll
when
pass.
he's ready.
Yeah.
Brian, just hang in there. I'll intro you when we're ready. We got your mic. Can we hear you, brother?
Brian.
Dude,
Welcome.
dude, is this working?
All right, good. Yeah, we got you. All right, we're gonna get to you, my friend. Jason, I just injected a grow bag full of spores this morning from Spores MD. You can get the link down below. But in about 4 weeks, I'm gonna move that bag around and then put it in above 75 degrees or above and see what happens. So sponsored by Spores MD. Let's go.
Yeah, well, for that lead in to your sponsor and your ad there, your little advert, I do expect a sample baggie. Thanks.
I'll come visit you in Alabama, my friend. Next up, we have my friend, my editor, and the writer of the book, Deja Vu Has Everything Already Been? In Search of an Ancient Lost Civilization. Alexander Cheskovich is the acclaimed author of Deja Vu Has Everything Already Been? And a passionate researcher of lost civilization, prehistoric catastrophes, and repeating cycles of history. Olek, my friend, how are you, brother? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. Hello, everyone, and happy Easter. I'm really excited for new findings on Mars.
Outstanding. I'm looking forward to that too. So apparently we got like 4 new objects to look at today. So hang in there, audience. And chat, if you're listening, thank you so much, everyone. Monitor the chat and see what's going on there. Say hi to everyone. Next up, we are absolutely blessed today on this Easter Sunday to have Jean Ward, a highly respected independent Mars researcher and talented graphic designer. His stunning enhancements of anomalous structures and megaliths in NASA imagery have captivated researchers and enthusiasts worldwide. Slicing through the pixels, Jean. What's up, man?
Hey, Dave. Good to be here, and happy Easter to everyone from South Africa. It's
All
good
the
to
way.
be with you guys.
So is it Monday for you yet, dude?
No, it's Sunday evening.
11
It
o'clock?
is 10:15 in the evening, South
Nice.
Africa time.
Let's bring you into Easter Monday during this epic episode of Mars Disclosure Live. Next up, we have Ricardo Calvario, a dedicated researcher with the Institute for Natural Philosophy, co-host of the popular Shaman and Philosopher podcast. He explores fascinating links between ancient histories, mythology, and alternative science. It sparks fresh insights. Ricardo, my longtime collaborator and friend, welcome to the multiverse and welcome to Mars Disclosure Live. Let's go.
Thank you. Welcome to everybody listen to us, and thank you for having me again, Dave. It's a pleasure and an honor to be among such distinguished and wise guests that you have here. So hoping to learn a lot today, and I'm hoping that after the presentation, if there's time, I would like very much for us to discuss something that I think I don't understand, and I hope the audience has the same doubts that I have in relation to Artemis orbit, but we can look at it after John's presentation if we have the time for it.
Well, the Artemis 2 mission is something that has been on my mind. I've been staying in touch with what's going on the whole time. Sarah from Universe Unveiled podcast, her and Jacqueline apparently are riding on this mission right now, right, Sarah?
That's right. We are orbiting the moon. Well, on our way anyways.
Fantastic. You sent like a drive or what? How does that work?
Yeah, so our podcast name, Universe Unveiled, is loaded onto a memory card that is in the Orion spacecraft. So, yeah, we're going to orbit the
Outstanding.
moon.
You know what? That's relevant to Mars Disclosure, I think. So I agree, Ricardo. Let's cover that when we're done. Next up, we've got Brian Corey Dobbs, an award-winning filmmaker and director of the groundbreaking documentary Blue Planet Red, currently having technical difficulties like nobody's business. His internet went out. He went to a cafe. I don't even know where he's at now, but he's boldly pushing the Martian anomalies into mainstream spotlight, including his recent news segment on the mysterious three-sided pyramid. Brian Corey Dobbs, BCD, Mars Disclosure Live. Let's go.
Oh, God, Dave, thank you so much. First of all, thanks, guys, for showing up here. Matt, it's great to see you. Wow. This is such a wonderful group of people here. Yes, I'm at a hotel. They're just letting me use the free Wi-Fi here in the lobby.
Wow.
Unfortunately, there's no one else around. My power went out. I had to go to I thought I might be hip and go hang out the Sheets. And I don't know if you guys know what Sheets is. It's like a Wawa, Rural Farms. They got Wi-Fi. Just, load up on snacks and make an afternoon out of it. But the bandwidth wasn't what it needed to be. So I'm not sure how good the bandwidth is here, but it looks like it's working okay. So anyway, I apologize for any technical difficulties, but yeah, glad to be here. Thank you very much, Dave, for doing all this.
No problem. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Should we promo the hotel that's letting you do that, or what?
Yes, we should. It is the Hilton Garden Inn.
Wow. Watch out for those men in black.
Somebody get the manager a T-shirt quick, okay?
Awesome. And then lastly, I just wanted to say hi. I'm Dave from Dave's Multiverse. I got my lovely producer, Megan, Miss Indonesia Jones. We host, we're a podcast that brings you the biggest names in history, science, and the disclosure space. You got to check it out. We just featured Scott Walter. Some controversial shit going on there. Check it out. We're thrilled to host Mars Disclosure Live and build a vibrant community dedicated to exploring space anomalies, ancient mysteries, and true disclosure. Megan, Miss Indonesia Jones, welcome to the show.
So happy to be here. I'm trying to keep my cosplay game on point.
Let's go. Loving it. So this is what my plan was, to play Brian's interview in Brian's absence.
You introduced Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Matt. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, he's right down in the bottom.
Matt was going to introduce himself, and it wasn't in my notes. So,
Oh dear.
because I didn't have time to prepare a introduction for Matt. So, Mr. Matt Barone, welcome to your first appearance on Mars Disclosure Live. Tell us a little bit about yourself and John.
First and last now that he was ignored. First and last.
Yeah.
He didn't come back.
Thank you, John, for the reminder. My bad.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Dave. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah.
We got you, brother.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on, Dave, and organizing this. This is really cool. Just real quick about me, I'm the host of the Curious Dimension podcast. I have interviewed Brian. I have interviewed Gene, and a few other Mars researchers. My focus is really on like the mathematics and the geometry of all different types of paranormal, and Mars absolutely fits into that. There's mathematical and geometric connections there that we could all talk about all day long. But really, I'm just here to listen and learn. So I'll probably be popping in and out. So thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you for joining. And we need to collaborate in the multiverse and with your show, my friend. We'll do that sometime soon, because it sounds like we cover a lot of the same stuff. BCD, Brian Corey Dobbs, he's the guy who usually
absolutely. I'll
leads
keep
this
my mic
off.
off now. Absolutely. Yeah, we got to do that, Dave.
Yeah, let's do it. Brian Corey Dobbs, are you mic check for you, man? Can you hear me, Brian? Are you there? All right. We're having Brian Corey Dobbs issues. So here's the thing, guys. Mars Disclosure has gone mainstream.
Check. It might be choppy here. It might be delayed. I don't. Yeah, I can.
I think it's
hear
delayed.
You. It's just really choppy and delayed. Yeah, it's delayed. Let me exit and come back in. Is that okay? Can we try that?
Yeah, do that. So Mars Disclosure is going mainstream thanks to our boy Brian Corey Dobbs, director of Blue Planet Red. We're gonna check out his recent interview on Talk TV. It's about 10 minutes long. This is what we're looking at when we're talking about Mars Disclosure, because we want we want this information mainstream. We want people thinking about this. Okay, so let's check it out.
Dave, don't forget we've got Gary's thing pulled whenever you are ready for that as well.
Yep, gotcha.
Reminder that coming up at the top of the hour, we have John Boothman, who's going to be joining us to go through the newspapers for tomorrow. But first, I'm really excited about this. A pyramid-like structure, first seen on Mars in 2001, has renewed debate on whether human-like creatures inhabited the planet billions of years ago. The image was originally captured by NASA's Mars Global Surveyor and found by a researcher while he was scanning the data, and suggests it may be, an artificial structure. The NASA photo is generating interest on social media 25 years later, after it was unearthed again in the documentary Blue Planet Red by filmmaker Brian Dobbs, who joins us now. This is great. Brian, I'm so thrilled to meet you. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. I mean, the film, I have not seen the film because we came to this story a bit late, but I am going to try and find it. On the history, evidence for life and catastrophes that contributed to the death of Mars. Where do we start? You better lead off. First of all, this pyramid, are you convinced that it is man-made or creature-made? It is not natural.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. This is a wonderful invitation, so thank you. I'd like to parlay this discussion of what went viral this week into the overall, more broader discussion of what I refer to as Mars disclosure. I'm a journalist like yourself, a documentary filmmaker, and after learning what I learned about over these past few years, there seems to have been, in some manner, a suppression of the evidence that NASA has discovered over the past half century, pyramids being one of them. The overall larger story here is there's evidence not just for these structures, but for biology, for fossils, and for artifacts. So when we take a look at a structure that looks, for all intents and purposes, like a pyramid, I am sitting here trying to vet this. Number one, is the image real? Yes, it's real. I've had all these images from NASA. But number two, can I find anything like it in nature that looks anything remotely like it? And that's my challenge to the public. That's my challenge to geologists specifically. And thus far, I'm having a tough time finding anybody who can submit anything that looks like what we are looking at here, which appears to be a three-sided symmetrical pyramid with geometric regularity.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying it. I mean, it looks exactly like a pyramid. And like you said, can that be formed in nature? Look, strange things are formed, especially in an area such as this has been found, where there's a lot of geological movement, right? But like you said, it looks like it was put together. It doesn't look like nature created it. So who did create it?
Yeah, well, that is a very good question. What I can tell you is that any one piece of evidence or rather in support of this artificiality hypothesis, that there were these structures that were artificially created by a previous ancient civilization on Mars, as crazy as that sounds, any one of them really isn't enough to move the needle. It's only when you look at the totality of evidence where it starts to paint a much different picture of Mars than the one that we've been led to believe. And I really don't want to point the finger too much at NASA. I think NASA's doing a great job at engineering, at furthering our understanding of the universe. But unfortunately, as it relates to their discoveries, they just haven't been doing a great job in the public relations department and transparency with what they've been finding. So I felt compelled enough to put together a documentary which sort of weaves a different story than most people have heard, which does include these. Look, Carl Sagan has this famous quote. He says, "Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence." And then to which I would respond with another quote by Carl Sagan.
Intelligent life first reveals itself through the geometric regularity of its constructions. Now, what does he mean? He means if you're in a spaceship looking down on a terrestrial planet, how would you first know there's intelligent life there? You'd first know it by seeing straight lines and geometric patterns, city grids, and even the pyramids themselves. And what we're seeing on Mars does not fit a geological explanation. It doesn't fit what a volcano is supposed to look like. It doesn't fit what a mountain or a hill or a mesa or a butte or whatever NASA wants to call it. It looks like, and you don't need a geology or an engineering degree to see these things. I mean, you saw it yourself. So this three-sided pyramid structure is one of dozens, Petri, dozens, that NASA has photographed over the past 50 years that they just don't want to talk about it. They're not in the disclosure business. So, which is why I am trying to come in here and cover what is a thriving Mars community. And I have a clip here of two of the people who are actually doing the research and things that they've uncovered. We even have a different example of another pyramid that I'd love for you to take a quick look at.
I mean, it is. Do we have the other pyramid for me to have a look at? 'Cause I'd love,
yeah, we have a 60-second clip that we could play.
Oh, a 60-second clip of it. Yeah, we've got it now. I think they're going to play it now, Brian.
So yeah, I'll compare this to the pyramid in Teotihuacan with that ramp coming off the side. The symmetry and geometry of this pyramid, which incidentally so far, in my opinion, is the best evidence of a pyramid found on Mars.
So I sent Robert an email, and within a day or two, he got back to me and said, send me the paper, I'll take a look at it, just like that.
That's
I don't even know the guy.
All right.
So we send him the paper. About a week goes by, he resends the paper with his geological analysis already added to the paper. And he puts his name on the paper, not at the front, but at the end.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God, we got Robert Schoch co-authoring a paper with us.
So let's take a closer look at this square. There's not just one.
Okay, who all froze?
Well, I don't know.
So it would seem that we lost Dave and we've lost Brian, Corey.
Can you guys hear me?
There's Brian.
There's Brian.
Okay, guys, let me, while my internet's good, it's going in and out, it's real choppy. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay.
Go on.
So there's this news coverage, which was awesome. The one thing I want to say and related to this is that over 24 news sites picked up this three-sided pyramid thing, including Talk TV. I have it cataloged on my blog, all the different news sites that picked it up. It's probably close to 30 different news sites. It just went frickin' viral. It's crazy. Which to me indicates the compelling nature of what it is we're all here discussing today, that what we're seeing on Mars does resonate not just with the Mars folks, but it does resonate with the public. And of course they reach out for comment from, this guy, Pascal Lee, who's affiliated with NASA and SETI, and he says, oh, there's nothing to see here, but that's of course what they want, what they always want to say. But I think the take home here is that there are a lot of people out there in the public who do see these structures as being something that A, they've never seen before, and B, something worthy of further investigation. Before my internet goes out, I want to sort of just go around the room and get everyone's reaction to this and maybe offer some commentary as to what you guys take away from all of the news attention.
I thought it was great. We were in the chat together, and he would be like, another one, and just the whole chat was just different news outlets picking up about the cylinder on Mars and the pyramid on Mars, and everyone was talking about it. And it seemed like each time it was a bigger news network. Like, and then you see like Daily Mail and stuff, New York Post picking it up, and you're like, damn, like it really just caught. And I think that that's amazing.
Yeah, Brian, what was striking to me was her reaction. She was actually excited about the topic, and she'd like you back on the show. That to me is a big positive. It's an open door, open invitation.
I'm back. Sorry, I don't know what happened. But
Welcome
I'm back,
Dave.
So did we get like about 7/10 of the way through that interview anyway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We're just going around and getting everyone's reactions to the news coverage.
Perfect. Thank you.
I feel like this is the beginning of a huge shift that I can feel coming, of sort of like the veil being lifted, and people finally, there's enough pings coming in from different directions that people just can't ignore them anymore and just live in their little bubble and just worry about what's happening today. The curiosity is building, and this is just such an exciting development, I feel like.
Well, I think this has been so important that NASA decided to try and go back to the moon just to distract people from what is going on in here. So it just launched a term as to change the attentions from Mars back into the moon. But
I think Elon decided he wasn't going to Mars right about the time we started this business now. I mean,
going to Mars can be complicated, especially because of the things that we are finding and the fact that it might still have something or someone in there, but that's only speculation. But my point is, I hope that this time that the information is coming out, thanks to Brian, and because of the social media that we have now, because of the easiness of spreading the information and getting reactions and putting people interested, something that didn't happen 30 years ago when Hoagland tried it, because there was no way to disseminate that information. Still, many people today haven't seen those pieces of information. And so today is a time where this can actually spread and reach the people. If it's actually going to fruition, it's something we still have to see, but at least it's moving and it's getting attention of people, and it's getting to interest to people look into from their own eyes. So let's see what that leads us to.
Yeah, thank you, Ricardo. And let me just add one more thing here, and then we'll continue around the room here. Pascal Lee is, again, affiliated with NASA and SETI, and News Nation had him on. They asked him what he thought. He's a geologist. And, he says, it's not a perfect looking pyramid, therefore it's not a pyramid, totally discounting the effects of millions of years of erosion or sediment deposition and things like that, that it's a little rounded here or there and that it's degraded, therefore it is not a pyramid, and the first obvious question I have is, well, Pascal, aren't you aware of like weathering and how structures can erode and degrade over time? So it's just sort of an absurd argument to me, and there was absolutely no pushback on News Nation. I just don't know what makes him qualified to give that answer, but that's just me. I really wanted Matt to join us today because he's been him and I have been taking a look at John's work and others as well, and this is just one example. This three-sided thing here, obviously it went viral relatively speaking, but maybe the three-sided pyramid isn't the best example, but it certainly gathered a lot of attention. And so is it, I guess the question that I have for everybody is, how, I'm wondering how we message and how do we frame for people that things are not going to be in pristine condition? But anyway, I just want to insert that one little bit and then gather everyone else's thoughts on this.
Alexander, have we heard from you?
Yes, I can go next. I think we see a huge shift in how media shows it and how it approaches such topics. Because before, I think it was all okay. Here's some conspiracy theory stuff, and right now we've heard this presenter being very excited about this discovery, wanting you again, as John said, but also people and plenty of different other news outlets saying that, oh, this is huge discovery. And I think people are very, very open, like general public, but we see shift from the media from being very strict, very into one ideology, to be more open, which is, I think, a very good thing. And I think also that people are right now more and more aware of what you've said about the erosion, that it won't be perfect at all. I think right now it's, at least in school, elementary school, and later education system, I think it is right now within the curriculum that Mars in the past was completely different than now. So I think that it will be more and more into the side that, yes, maybe it's more than just natural formation.
That's great. Matt, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of private conversations with Brian and other people in the Mars researching community. Look, it's obvious that the media landscape has completely changed since 2017 with the New York Times article. Everyone now has permission to talk about these topics, right? And so, and I think I've said this privately to Brian, that I think disclosure is probably going to come from one of three places. It's either going to come from anomalous artifacts on the moon, anomalous artifacts on Mars, or crash retrievals. And good luck with the crash retrieval thing. You're gonna have to pry it out of their cold, dead hands. The moon is interesting, and obviously, you know, we're on our way there right now with Artemis 2, and there's plans to go back there and to set all kinds of things up. To me, Mars is probably more of your better bet, because nobody's really, unfortunately, right now, I feel like everyone's just starting to pay attention to these anomalous structures. Everyone in this room has known about these things for decades, right? And so I feel like Mars is going to be like this dark horse in this whole disclosure conversation that's going to come up from behind, and people are going to realize that they've had evidence of microbial life, and then they're going to start to look at more complex things like the structures. So yeah, I think we're right on the precipice of something bigger happening. That's my 2 cents.
Well said. I agree, Matt. Well said.
Shaman, you have any thoughts up there?
Who, me?
Yeah, sure. Somebody's got a motorcycle. Who's that?
Yeah.
Is that John? Is that you?
The window's open. It's midsummer here, so it's quite warm. Yeah, I can't wait for that actual disclosure to happen. You know, when someone really important goes on TV and says, listen, this is going on. Or even if we get invited to Congress to go and testify there, I think that'll be a major step. And then someone like, who was that guy that did the disclosure documentary now recently, Brian? Well, it was Farrar?
Dave Farrar, yeah.
Yeah. If we can get the attention of someone like that, or Steven Spielberg, or Bruckheimer. I see Bruckheimer is also working on a disclosure film now. Steven Spielberg's releasing his in July or June. Things are really picking up. We just need the ear of someone important.
I don't. Do we need someone's ear? You know, that's a good lead in. I'm sorry, Megan. Did you ask? Yeah,
I know.
For my thoughts. Yeah. So, but somebody's ear. You know, look, guys, we've assembled a crew. You know, and there is a energy to it, right? I mean, my introduction way back when was sort of interviewing you, Brian, right? And then you, John. And I think of the energy of it from then till now. I'm a big believer in timing, especially. My quick note before closing the window on disclosure is you forget there's a possibility that disclosure could come from those that are hidden themselves. You know, that is a card no one ever expects to be played. We talk so seriously about these things, but we never factor in perhaps they have a timeline that involves disclosure as well. Just a note. Now on to quickly what I think of all this press. I really, guys, I think it's the energy of it. I saw all of this hit, Brian. You know, you started nailing us in the chat, showing us all this mainstream attention after sort of episode 2, after this unit here was sort of of cohesive and moving. And after you guys and your years of laying groundwork has been cohesive and moving. So I see a timing in that. I also, when I look at the macro and I see what's going on in the world with all of its revelations and any myriad of facets, I see that same energy, a craving people have for truth and an appetite for it. And I think it really, it all boils down to, you've got this camp that believes, or at least protrudes, this myth of ontological shock that they've always used to say we can't disclose because of ontological shock. And I think humanity is really showing a resilience to that, and that is indeed a myth, you know. But as it comes to Mars in particular, I'm just proud to see the coverage, because I believe once people give it a second, because that's what I did, I gave it a moment, and I looked at the overwhelming amount of anomalies. You know, it's not one headline, it's not one New York Post picture, right? It's the amount of these things that researchers like John and Gary and many others that I'm sure Brian can name that have done, that are bringing this to our light. So I'm proud for you guys, and I'm happy to be here witnessing it. Thanks.
Yeah, and then Avilog recently commented on that cylinder.
John,
and he suggested.
Hang on, John. Hang on one sec. We'll come back to the cylinder. I want to just wrap.
Sure, yeah.
That's a whole different conversation we got to have. I want to wrap up this tetrahedron thing here.
Okay.
I think there was a commenter who said tetrahedron. We should call this that, and that's in fact what the Mars community has been calling it for a while. Jason, I totally agree that the folks right here in this room. I mean, I really want to stress the importance of this grassroots collective right here, because the enthusiasm and interest that you guys have for this is more important than I think you might realize. What we're all here gathered to talk about is this deeply unsettling idea that this entire other planet right next door did have what appears to be an ancient civilization. And just this one example, an odd structure that has geometric regularity to it. You know, we don't really, I don't think we have three-sided pyramids on Earth. You know, there have been people who have emailed me peaks of mountaintops, and I'm like, this doesn't count. Okay, that's obviously part of a mountain, and it's a part of the mountaintop. Sure, it might be three-sided, but it's not symmetrical, and it's part of a larger mountain range. So it's like, it's not even the same thing. The thing that makes this so odd is that it's not connected to anything. And I think that is what I think there's a large portion of the population that see that. They can see, hey, you know what, that just looks odd. And what I want to try to do is keep this momentum going with regard to Mars disclosure, because if it, I did just a quick count, it's like anywhere between 25 and 30 different news sites picked this up from all over the world. News sites you heard of, news sites you haven't heard of. And that just indicates to me that there is this interest in this possibility that it looks exactly, you know, what you think it is. It is exactly what it looks like it is, what it appears to be. What was I going to say here? The challenge that we have, here's what it is. The challenge that we have is in stressing to the public, whenever it gets this much attention, that this isn't just the tabloid news story of the week, which is why I immediately wanted to frame the discussion with Petri on Talk TV as like, look, it's exciting that this went viral this week and that she's having me on to talk about this thing, but there is a bigger story here, which is what got me so interested in this. You know, Jason, I'm not doing the research, but, you know, I'm relying on people like John Ward, Gary, and others who have been doing the research, George Haas, so many others, Rami Bar-Alan, who have been doing the research, just needed a little extra help getting this data out to the public in a non-sensationalized way. That's why I started covering this. So, I mean, to me, I think I fall more on the journalistic side of things, but I realize that what this really needs is just more visibility, because it proved to me that, I mean, just the reason why you guys are all here today is because you think there could be something to it. I don't know how far along everybody is on their journey here, but there are obvious anomalies on the planet. And so it is really trying to turn this conversation into the greater story of it's not just about this one structure. This is just one example of others. And I think John Ward has found, the best, one of the best, if not the best example of that, which was, his pyramid we showed a couple weeks ago or 2 months ago or whatever it was. But I do want to credit you guys for showing up and talking about this stuff, because I really do believe in this material, and I am putting my money on it being well received by the public. But just the fact that we can get this core group of people together, Ricardo, I know that you've sort of felt this way for a while now. You've been looking into all sorts of things, which is really inspiring, and I'm glad we connected so early on. But it is through this collective interest that I really do think that we've got a chance at really changing public perception. So I'm in agreement with you, Jason, that I think that this grassroots group right here that we have can go a long way. And I want to stop it there and come back. I want to pick up right where I left off when we get to the cylinder, because there's a little bit more to say about this. So did we lose Matt and Dave? Are they still?
I'm here.
Around?
Matt said he'd be back.
Not sure
Can
what
you guys hear
happened.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Dave. I think
Got
we
you, Dave.
didn't get to hear what you thought about the news footage, Dave.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is all so cool for me. First of all, it's good to hear from Alexander, young guy going through school, that Mars is being talked about differently, because I think that's really important. Grassroots like this are important, but so is the perceptual change in the educational institutions. Olek is in Poland. I wonder what it looks like here in the United States, how they talk about Mars, but that's just me. Look, guys, I grew up watching Mars and sci-fi movies, cartoons, and TV shows. It's always been something that's fascinated me. I've always had a childlike wonder for it. Raise your hand if you did too, in the chat too, raise your hand. And we got Robert Schock, a legitimate geologist, again, sticking his neck out for a second time, sticking his reputational neck out for a second time on this and authoring a paper. Look, I've looked at Mars for dozens of hours through my own telescope, just like, whoa, is that shit really out there? And then all of a sudden we got BCD, my boy Brian Corey Dobbs, on mainstream news plus 20 other news channels. Ricardo said the internet, is bringing us all together to do this. And yeah, we're live on 7 different YouTube channels, 3 X pages, and a Facebook channel. And this shit's going mainstream, guys. It's going viral. We should be proud of ourselves.
Very proud.
Little pat on the back. And
bravo.
And we lost Brian again, but that's okay. I'm sure he'll be back. Did everyone go around the room and talk about the reaction to the mainstream stuff?
Yeah.
Excellent. I do think it's a good time then to get into Jean's presentation. Brian's back though. Maybe Brian has something to say. Brian wanted to talk about the cylinder a little bit. There he is. We're going to get into the presentation here, Brian, but I know you had some other thoughts on the cylinder and the mainstream news coverage. But we just all went around the room here. So,
okay, let's, before we go to the presentation, let's just do a quick recap on the cylinder, because that was also the big news that happened. You guys can hear me okay? Okay, great. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but after, we examined the cylinder last time, and at that time, NASA had not yet commented on the cylinder. Okay. But after Avi Loeb started blogging about it, news coverage picked up. And in fact, news sites around the world started reporting on that they had gotten a comment from NASA about the cylinder. And some of you might have seen this, but this is actually pretty big news. NASA, an unnamed spokesperson from NASA, actually said that cylinder is not human-made debris, meaning it's not part of the rover that fell off. It's not part of any other lander or any other probe that was sent to Mars. They said it was just simple geology. They just said it was a rock. And oh, by the way, they said it was also 1 centimeter. So, which to me is nonsense. But the silver lining here is that they have ruled out that it is part of the rover or any other lander that went to Mars. So I take that as a minor win, because they're now putting it in geology. And so Avi Loeb actually was reached out for comment on this, and he says basically Avi Loeb doesn't buy that either, which is good. He says, I challenge NASA, because NASA said they see these things all the time, and Avi Loeb said, I challenge NASA to produce any other photo with something like this, that they've found in their rover images. So of course NASA isn't going to do that because they can't. But who knows? Anything's possible, I guess. But I'll take the win here that Avi Loeb is sort of taking our side, so to speak, in that this is an anomaly and that NASA's explanation just doesn't hold water. He's challenging that publicly, which is good. I really wish Avi would do a little bit better job at crediting the Mars community, the people actually involved. I mean, this was found by Rami Bar-Ilan in Israel years ago. And, he gets a casual mention of amateur astronomer. And I'm like, yeah, Avi, we got to do a little bit better than that, because now Avi's getting all this attention, but it is really the hard work of the Mars community who's actually doing, digging this stuff up. And if it weren't for these guys, then we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it on this national level. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. But again, I think the take home here for me is that this just proves that we're not seeing things on Mars, because what all of these articles want to say is we reached out for NASA and they just want to say, oh, it's pareidolia. Now, how is it that every time we look at Mars and we see something strange, that the pareidolia term gets applied? Is it only when we look at Mars that pareidolia comes into play? Because, we can look at a bunch of other things and see anomalies, but the word pareidolia doesn't come into play. But it's only when we're looking at Mars, conveniently, that pareidolia comes into play, and they apply it to everything. The face, okay, that's obviously the most famous example, but you can't apply the word pareidolia to the square on Mars, the cylinder on Mars, the pyramids on Mars. So they're all distinctly different looking things, and you can't just try to Jedi mind trick us into saying, oh, it's all just your imagination. I think that's ridiculous. That's a totally unscientific explanation. And I think that due to the news coverage, that so many other people are saying, like, holy smokes, like, wow, yeah, that doesn't fit. There's something out there. I think that just proves to me that covering this stuff is really important. And, I know John has been working on this for quite a while. And when him and I got connected, I said, John, you got to keep doing what you're doing, because you're getting some really, John is one of a handful of researchers and, doing a great job doing this stuff. So I think that we got through our collective efforts, we got NASA to comment on this thing. And they're, in my opinion, they said it was 1 centimeter. That's the size of my pinky.
This big.
Like, do you guys buy that? I just want to get general reaction around the room here. Like, that's what NASA says. They says it's geology and it's 1 centimeter big.
Okay, Brian, if you guys will indulge me, remember after our last podcast, we had questions as to how huge this thing could be. And then I went into the high-rise photographs and I looked at where the rover was at that point when it took that photograph of the cylinder. And then, based on the high resolution photograph, I determined that the object is too small to show up. But it's not 1 centimeter. It's at least a half a meter in length. So it's not 1 centimeter. If you look at the surrounding terrain and where the rover is when it takes those photographs, that was basically about 2 or 3 meters from the rover when it took that photograph. So you can imagine that's not 1 centimeter. You wouldn't see it in the photograph. It would barely show up.
Yeah. And John and I actually were contacted by somebody on Twitter who actually stitched together a series of images that the rover took that day.
Yes.
Showing a really wide panoramic shot. I don't have it with me because I'm at the hotel. Otherwise, I would have presented it here today. But it just shows you the panoramic side of this hill with the cylinder there. And it just doesn't, it's too much of a stretch to think that it's just one. That's just me. But
no, it's not 1 centimeter. No, they're taking a chance. They're trying to fool the people. And we know that based on the testimony of that girl that worked at NASA. What was her name again, Brian? I can't remember. My memory is failing. Remember, she worked in that building where they were processing the photographs, the films.
Yes.
And she noticed that there was some weird image manipulation that was being done there. And she actually testified to that.
I think
you
Ricardo has
you
thoughts
can't
on
trust. We can't trust these guys. I mean, all they talk about is rocks and geology anyway.
I'm watching.
It's an intelligence agency. Why do we expect honesty from an intelligence agency?
Look at the Brookings.
Sorry, go ahead,
report
Dave.
And Deloitte.
I'm just saying, I'm watching Ricardo's face and I'm seeing his mind thinking, and I know he has comments on this.
Well, my comment is not related exactly with what Brian said, but it's supportive of it. We just found out. Let me step back a little bit. It is agreed now that life happens through a miracle, right? So it comes like little bacteria, and then it starts to get more complex until it forms more and more complex life forms. Okay, but we just found out also that that all the elements of DNA and RNA existed or exist now on a meteorite. So they released the news. I think Sarah covered that in the UU News, if I'm mistaken, or are going to cover. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. And so it's not impossible that a meteorite that can cause life had fell on Mars or any other planet. So it's no longer impossible to assume that any planet that has sustainable environment can develop and make more complex ways of life. We also know that the space station has to be constantly, so they have to come every other week outside of the space station to clean the windows because they get foggy from a biological life form.
Yes, that live out in space.
That live in space.
Yes, there's pores and things all over in space.
So panspermia is more than proven at this point, right? So, we are falling again into a certain form of creationism that is almost outside of science because it requires that miracle. It's like Terence McKenna used to say, give us a miracle and we explain the rest. That's how science explains everything. They need a miracle at the beginning. And with life is the same thing. And now we know that that miracle is real. There is evidences that it can happen anywhere. So it's no surprising that we are finding things in other planets. It's no surprising that we're finding it on a planet that is right on the orbit of another planet that exploded, that used to be Phaeton, right?
Yep.
So it's now the asteroid belt. So, and we know that planet exploded. If that planet exploded, it could have caused so much damage to Mars that life is no longer possible in there, right? And those people have to go somewhere. Either people want to believe in portals, people want to believe in spaceships, but somehow maybe some of that life came into here. So
Yep.
now that we have all this evidence, I think it's time to look at what John and so many others are showing and the work that Brian has been promoting, and look at from the eyes that this is actually a possibility. It's no longer science fiction. So basically, that's what I wanted to say.
It doesn't feel like a big stretch because we were talking about hopping over to Mars if things go bad here. So why wouldn't they do that the other way around?
Well, and I like the way that all these structures look like ones on Earth, guys. When that's what sucked me in, Brian, when you show me all these structures that look just like structures before they were unearthed and restored here on Earth, I don't have to go much further than imagining something like a human being. You know, you don't have to go far down some sci-fi rabbit hole when it matches things we see here on Earth. Right? That's all.
No. Oleg, like with your book, In Search of a Previous Lost Civilization, and you do all this research about repeating cycles of civilization. How does Mars and this Mars disclosure stuff come into play for you?
I think it's, as I've said before, common knowledge that Mars before was some kind of environment that was very habitable for any kind of life form. And as I've said, right now, I think in the educational system or just in popularizing science, it may be common knowledge, but I think the next step is what Ricardo showed, that life forms, bacteria, DNA is everywhere, because I think that there is still this view that life is just locked here on our planet, maybe in the atmosphere too, but everything beyond, there is no life there in the space. So I think that, and again, I think 2 or 3 years ago, I was given a book to review about it by Ken Goldsworth, author, and I was shocked because, you know, he pointed all of these examples of life forms, advanced life forms, both in the outer space, both on Mars, etc. And I thought to myself, well, if that was common knowledge, if that was, for instance, attached to the press release, to the media appearance of you, Brian, with this structure, I think it could completely shift people's minds about Mars, because if they connected these anomalies with this idea that life is everywhere outside of our planet, then it would be completely different. And I think that it's a little bit ignored topic, this life forms outside of our planet, because again, NASA people said, oh, this is 1 centimeter, oh, this is random geology, but I think it's denying of any kind of possibility. And we see that in plenty of ideologies, that skepticism of being, well, maybe it's true, maybe not, becomes this different idea of skepticism, which is not, of course, skepticism at all, that, oh, we should try debunking everything, etc. So I think this life stuff could be changing. It could be mind shifting in people's minds. So that was what I wanted to comment on.
Alexander, if I may, before you pass it on, Alexander, what is it? Because as you speak, whether it's this Mars stuff or whether it's any talk about antediluvian, here on Earth, what is it? This impulse or this energy that seems to want to deny us any story that allows for a grander past, a grander human past, a grander past of this universe than the traditional narrative allows us currently. That's what I see. It seems no matter where we reach, where the story might be more grand, more exciting, make us a little more than we're told we are, that gets sort of shot down viciously and with great energy.
Yes, I think it's
elitist. That's an elitist attitude.
Yes, but I think it's very good that you connected that to some kind of energy or something, because I believe it's much more than just, one ideology. I think it's on a psychological and maybe on some kind of energetic, universal, subconscious layer, because I see people, I have some experience, people trying debunking me in the past, and right now I'm a little bit into the academic stuff, and I see that it's like a common, just universal thing that's making them, we need to debunk that, we cannot be over, just as you cannot be, for instance, you need to be formal, you cannot be over expressive. So I think it's the same kind of vibe energy, that you cannot be, over excited about Mars or over excited about our history, because you would be some kind of fanatic, you will be some kind of heretic or something. I think it's a common universal theme of people tempering themselves. We cannot have more energy. For instance, if a kid has plenty of energy, don't do that, you have ADHD or something. And I see that also in academia, both when it comes to history, both when it comes to national history. For instance, here in Poland, you cannot be over patriotic about something, you cannot be over praise.
Yeah, but on the other hand, men can now get pregnant.
Yep.
So kids can be overactive, but men can get pregnant. So that's
Jean, I wanted you to react. I know you wanted to react, and then I wanted to give Sarah a chance to react, and then we'll get to the presentation.
Yeah, it's interesting to note. Brian recently did a video on that crashed disk on Mars, and you quoted that NASA official, that geologist. And they interviewed him as the skeptic, and then two other, George Haas was also interviewed in that episode. The guy from NASA said, it is likely caused by wind erosion, and it's probably a dune. He didn't say it was caused by wind erosion and it is a dune. He wasn't sure. Why didn't he just say, we aren't sure what this is? It could be a crashed disk. But no, he would deny it, because the dogma and the academia are so strict on what these guys are taught and learn that they aren't taught to think out of the box. And if they do, there's peer pressure. Their peers will ridicule them probably. They'll lose their grants if they have grants at universities. And then obviously there's the Brookings report and the Deloitte report that Brian knows about as well. That curtails these guys from saying anything. They're not allowed to, especially if NASA is a defense agency. That's it from our side.
Yeah. And Sarah, from somebody who's, as I'm getting to know you, I know you've experienced sort of extra perceptional things in your life. And your podcast, Universe Unveiled, talks about, a lot of things like that are, outside of the realm of measurables, let's say, by science. And I wanted to have your reaction on, the potential for life on Mars and the fact that, it's being suppressed like we're talking about.
How woo-woo are you comfortable with me getting on this?
Go woo, Sarah. Woo away.
Run for your lives.
I dreamed about it. I mean, I dreamed about it straight. I mean, it was straight out of Mission to Mars, the plot of Mission to Mars.
Love that movie, by the way. Gary Sinise.
That's my favorite Mars movie. And, I mean, it was unmistakable. And I was like, yeah, I know. I woke up from that dream and I was like, I know, right? I think that movie is closer to a documentary than we would like to admit. And I've said that before. I don't remember where I said that. But I think that's what we're dealing with. Some type of cataclysm. We all bugged out to Earth and we just keep sliding down the bench, That's what I'm thinking. But as far as the size of the cylinder, I do have a potential solution for that. What we could do is we could crowdsource to send our own rover, and we could just drop a banana for scale. I think that would be good. That'd be good. Like, that's all we need is a banana.
You just need to
scale.
calibrate the size of bananas then.
Yeah.
There's very different sizes for bananas.
Drop a banana and then settles all of this. Like
organic banana.
If we can't see the banana at all, then we're in big trouble, I think, because the scale will be off the hook. There's a lot of questions here, guys, and we're working on getting answers to them. we want to get into the presentation, but Brian, do you have anything to say before the presentation, for Rajan's presentation?
Just final words here. I think that the take home, anytime we're examining these anomalies and we're asking NASA what their position is on these things, generally speaking, they're going to interpret this through a geological lens. Now, who knows? Maybe sometimes they're right about stuff, but that they're not analyzing it. You know, we haven't talked about fossils yet, but like, how many paleontologists does NASA have on staff who are looking at Mars? You know, how many archaeologists does NASA have on staff who are looking at Mars? How many biologists, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you already have this understanding that NASA is going to interpret these as geological structures only, then that strains credulity. And what we're here focused on, you know, Jean and I and others in the Mars community are making the case that these are exactly what they look like, not geology.
Occam's razor.
Any one particular example might not do it for you, but if you've got dozens, if not hundreds of different types of things, just waving this magic wand of pareidolia just doesn't add up. So, you know, I want to, at the right time, I want to bring in my buddy Gary, who's got some amazing finds we haven't shown you guys yet. But we'll get to that on another show. But you know, I just wanted to do
down below. There's Gary's information. Check it out. Big contributor to the community. Just wanted to give him a shout out. Mars Revealer on YouTube. At Mars Revealer.
Absolutely.
Also on X, you'll find him on X. Yeah, Gary.
So I just wanted to go over the press coverage. The take home for me is that there's other people out there who take interest in this the same way that, you know, this Mars disclosure community has been doing for the past half century. I just think it needs a fair shake in the media, and it hasn't gotten it. But I think thanks to you guys, we can change that.
Very cool. It's so exciting, guys. Like we're talking about, like Sarah's talking about the movie Mission to Mars, which to me is like one of my favorite movies too. So thank you, Sarah. But you know, we're going from quote sci-fi to, you know, reality, and we're expanding the possibility that this, you know, could be, this could be beyond our wildest dreams. You know, this could have happened 100 times. We don't know. The universe and solar system are old and big, and who knows, man. And so that expansion is like my favorite part about this. Brings out the childlike wonder in me. But should we take a look at some anomalies, Jean?
I think if you guys are ready, Brian, shall I go for it?
Yeah.
Let me just
Looking forward to it.
Can't wait.
Okay.
You need to prove why it is that Brian should quit addressing pareidolia, because I brook no time for those accusations, and as we see here, there's so many.
This is on Mars, Jean? I thought
this is the famous gimbal UFO that was spoken about in 2017 or 18 in the New York Post, if I'm right. Right?
Oh yeah, that's it.
New ship.
That's it.
Yeah. So I call this presentation the Gimbal UFO Files of Mars for a reason. I'll show you. There's the 4 NASA URLs. If anyone wants to go and look up the original photographs that we'll be looking at, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir. We got you.
Okay. So we were looking at 4 UAP or UFOs that were photographed by the rover Curiosity as it's making its way up to Mount Sharp. And as you've seen in some of my previous videos, it's gotten to a point where it looks like there's these box-like structures. And if you look at the aerial view of those box-like structures from orbit, as seen in the high-rise photographs, they look like Pueblo. How do you say that word? Puebloan ruins. How do you say that word, Jason? Puebloan? Pueblo? But anyway, these look like.
I was
war-
muted. Pueblo.
Yeah.
Pueblo. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the ruins in New Mexico, they look exactly like those. They even look like fish farms or maybe salt farming trenches or boxes. So, but anyway, the rover's driving up, and as it's driving up, it's photographing these strange aerial phenomena. And each time these things show up in different parts of the photographs. So if someone says, yeah, but this is dust on the lens or it's a dead pixel, why does it show up in various of the cameras as well as in different positions in the photographs? Yeah, we're looking at the original photograph, and I'll zoom in on that object. And you'll see to the left, I've got an enlargement that was made using just a conventional magnifier in Windows. And then on the right, a deconvoluted upscale that I made in Topaz Labs Gigapixel. So this is a product that NASA also uses. Deconvolution is a mathematical process that preserves detail and gets rid of noise when it upscales images. So it's a mathematical process. It's not a conventional sort of free AI online upscaler. This is a really sophisticated piece of software, and I mean, NASA uses it too. So you can see, check out this item. There it is in context above the horizon, and there it is close up. You never see these things closer than what they've been photographed, indicating to me that this is a possibility that the rover's being surveilled. These things are keeping a distance. They're probing, checking the progress of the rover, I speculate, because you never see these things up close. And you only see side view. So are we looking at a UFO, a disk, like a flying saucer? Or is this some type of craft with wings? We don't know. We don't see like bottom-up views of these things. Yes.
Let's get some commentary on this thing, Ricardo.
Have you anybody here heard of the Alternative 3 project?
Yes.
So this was a project for a solution for the Cold War. So they thought if we release our nukes and everything is destroyed, we need to create a protocol to ensure the continuity of mankind. And so under that protocol, lots and lots of all around the world new graduates in several disciplines that were accounted as needed disappeared all at the same time. So families were looking for the people. There was lots of commotion. And because the world was not connected as today, people didn't get that sensation that it was happening everywhere. And some of the brightest of the students just graduated have gone missing. So this project, at least in paper, said that they were going to transport all these people into underground bases on Mars. So if they are still there, I think it would be obvious to have monitoring systems, be just because of the weather. I don't say that it's because of the rover, but they might now be using it to monitor the rovers, right? Somehow. So I think it's not that far-fetched to speculate as far as I did. It's all a possibility because we just don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. And,
yes.
And therefore it makes it very hard to make any assumptions. But obviously there is something flying there that I consider to be a drone of some kind. I don't think it's a big ship. I consider it to be a drone of some, because in Mars atmosphere, any electrical gadget that in here is just a toy a child toy in Mars would be a very effective flying machine. So Oh, maybe not, because the air is less dense, so it needs more power. Maybe I'm getting the things.
Well, it could even have anti-gravity
Sure.
technological properties. You never know.
We don't know what we don't know. That's what Ricardo said,
The
right?
reason, the reason why I mentioned the ruins close to where the rover is because these UAPs and UFOs show up in South America, all over the place, because of all the old ancient ruins and things there. That's what I speculate. This is why we don't see these things in the Perseverance rover photographs. Because the Perseverance rover isn't close to an potential important archaeological site. If you guys know what I mean. Because the Perseverance rover isn't being surveilled like the Curiosity rover is.
Yeah, if you send the rover to the middle of the Sahara, there wouldn't be great need to survey it. But if you send it closer to New York, then maybe you should keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it could be close to something important. You never know. But is this extraterrestrial, or is it maybe something that we put there? It's a mission that's secret.
Oh, of course. From another rover, it could have a drone on itself. So
there could be a program like Trump. That article that I showed you guys, that ex-Israeli defense minister or intelligence minister in the space agency when he worked in the military in Israel. He said Trump knows about it. There's these underground bases at Mars, and we've been working with aliens there for years. Remember
maybe
that
we are the aliens.
So maybe these probes, it's a part of that program. Who knows? And then the other.
What does Oleg think about these This is a weird picture.
Yeah, I had the first impression, just like Ricardo, that some kind of drone, small UFO, something that hovers around and looks at the rover. But I think what is also interesting is that even without the Topaz upscaling, it looked like something artificial. Even, with just casual enlargement, you can see all of, the details. So I think it's a huge anomaly, and I think that, or maybe, let's for a moment be skeptical a bit. Maybe it's not not man-made, but intelligence-made thing. But it can show us that something is floating in the Mars atmosphere. Maybe something natural. Maybe, I don't know, some debris or some kind of creature.
Maybe some life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason, have you seen this before? Like, what are we looking at here?
No, I haven't. And I guess to be totally fair, in the non-upscaled version, I mean, it could be, possibly like a fly on the camera lens, which in any case presents some issues for the narrative we've been handed. But yeah, my mind, either way, we got problems here. But my mind does go to something like a drone, which, as you said, can be easily explained by a space mission we know nothing about. I mean, we're already there on the ground. What a drone's no big deal, guys.
Yeah.
Again, I try to go for the simplest explanation. I see what I see, and then I go, well, what's the easiest way that's real? And the way that it's real is pretty easy. The same way there's a robot on the ground with treads that, gets its solar panels cleaned every damn day. It's not very shocking or surprising that there's a drone in the air.
Yes. Brian did an interesting segment in one of his videos where he looked at dust on a camera lens, and also he looked into cosmic ray bursts and what they'll do to a camera's CCD.
Well, that's what I was thinking when I was looking at this. Are we looking at a weird dust thing, or what's going on?
A dust particle on a camera lens, you won't really see it. Will be blurred because it's too close. If you know what I mean. If you've got dust on your camera...
It all depends also on the lens. It's probably a different kind of lens used on the rover, but yes, if it's on the lens, it would be blurred because the focus is on the further away object, but it all depends also, it may be some crazy lens on the rover to show us everything.
Brian?
Yes, let me just add a few technical bits of context here. Regarding dust on the lens, yes, Jean referenced a video where I'm talking about something that appears to have been photographed over multiple frames. One of these funny flying things in the sky that goes from here to here to here. And I address whether, it or not it's a dead pixel or dust or cosmic ray burst. And I essentially ruled all of them out. Related to dust, and in fact, I demonstrated because I filmed my on-camera segment with a lens full of dust. I even took a photograph of it, and it's just covered in dust because I didn't brush it off, and I even showed the picture of it. And what Oleg just mentioned is right. If your focus is way out there, the camera's not going to see any of that. And you watch that video, you can't even see that it's covered in dust. So the dust thing doesn't really hold up for me. And if you want to know more about why cosmic ray bursts don't fit that either, you can go take a look. You sort of have to see what that looks like. But it's a thin streak of light. It's like a pixel or two wide. It's just a streak.
And
it
it's
looks
bright.
like this.
It's a very bright
shape here.
in color
Yes.
artifact.
Just a question, if I may. Do we know if the
Mhm.
lens on this rover is inside the box and has another glass, or the lens is exposed to the elements? Because if it is another glass, we can put a smudge on the exterior glass, and it will give the wrong sensation of perception in relation to perspective. Sorry, in perspective. But if the lens is raw, or the glass is very close to the lenses, then
It
this
is.
could not be possible, because in here we are clearing see some perspective. So
Yes.
So I don't know how it is the lens, but I'm just.
Good question. Not really sure. I think that the focal point still remains, though. I mean, if it's way out there, whether or not it's directly on the lens or if it's something, an inch away from the lens, it's still, at best, all it's going to do is present a little tiny blur. You have to have like a really big piece of material. It's like almost the size, like half the size of your pinky nail on the lens for it to actually see anything.
It has to be big.
The other thing I wanted to mention as we go through these photographs here is just to clarify, we're always going to have to communicate on this because we get a lot of skeptical people talking about the upscaling process here, and they think it's just AI nonsense. We're introducing this word deconvolution, which is actually the more technical term here. Deconvolution is a process that was invented in the 70s. Okay. That's a very long time ago. It happened way before AI. And this is just the modern day equivalent of that. In fact, Topaz Labs, that's what they call it, deconvolution. And guess who uses this to clean up their own images?
Oh,
NASA.
yes.
They've been using this. They used it for Hubble. They used it for lunar images. You can go to Wikipedia right now and look at the deconvolution Wikipedia article, and it's showing you NASA before
Of the
and after
moon,
pictures.
yes.
So
Craters on the moon.
So there's no reason why we can't trust this process. NASA uses it to clean up their own images. So anyway, just want to make sure.
By the
those
way,
are
just
technical,
an outside question.
comments.
Do we know why we never send a rover to the moon? Because it's much closer. There's 3 or 4 in
Yeah.
Mars.
We're gonna get to the moon for sure
on the
tonight.
moon. China sent drivers to the moon.
So I wanted to shout out a comment here. Hold on, sorry, Megan. That is not dust on the lens, LOL. And I really want to emphasize that, like, we have to consider all possibilities, and we are, right? We are considering these possibilities. We're talking about them out loud, and we're seeing what's going on. And I intuitively, when I look at this thing, I'm no scientist. I'm a social worker. Okay. When I look at this thing, it looks familiar, and it does not look natural. That's just my intuitive perception of it. Sarah, how do you, when you're looking at this thing, what do you think?
No, this looks concrete. I mean, it has structure. It's somebody
Yes.
commented a while back that dust would be fuzzy, and I feel the same way. This has sharp edges on it. It has shape. It has structure. I don't think it's dust. I do agree with whoever said it looked like Hitler's Nazi bell in the comments. Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah,
it.
Megan, do you have a comment on that one?
I'm just trying to figure out what's hanging off the bottom. Is it like a payload of a drone? Is this what? Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a weird little
Yeah,
thing
and
on the
this,
bottom.
it's here on this one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sticks off to the left, and in the next photograph, it sticks off to the right.
Okay.
Is there a green child on the bottom with a string and that's a kite? Or...
Yeah, no, it looks like a kite. Could be a kite. Yeah, to me, it looks like it could be. Yeah, I mean,
Could it be a balloon? I don't know.
Can we go in
Maybe.
even closer? Like,
I don't have closer views.
Okay.
I don't have closer views of these things. They really break up quite badly.
what else you got for us, Sean?
Yeah, there's another one out there in the distance.
Huh.
And this one went viral on my
you
YouTube
can
channel. And
see it too. Like even here, without zooming in, you can see it's just something funny that catches your eye.
Oh, it's the same shit too. It doesn't have the little tail wagging. Maybe it's not doing its
maybe.
thing. Yeah, maybe.
yeah, you can see those walls of the structure I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The foundational walls of these boxed in areas. But yeah, there it is up close.
It's the same thing.
And I think with this one, we see that it's further away. With this one, we clearly see it's not like very close, some kind of dust on maybe not the lens
Right.
itself, but on some glass or something. But it looks like it's far away, outside of this hill.
Yes, it's actually lighter in color. It's not as black,
Yeah.
indicating that it's a bit further in the distance and there's some atmosphere that's changing the colors slightly, the haze, that you see off in the distance there as well. And then there's this one.
almost looks like it has wings.
It's an eagle.
That's
Yeah.
a bird, if I've ever seen one.
It'd be just as weird as a spaceship.
Okay.
If there is a bird.
It's the Starship Enterprise without the nacelles.
Upside down Roomba.
It does look like the Starship Enterprise. It seems to be the same thing that's like changing shape for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like based on whatever its operation is. But it's basically the same shape. If I really zoom out, it's the dang Starship Enterprise, though.
Just one question. If it is dust on the lenses, who is cleaning the lenses? So it gets
That
new
was-
sponges.
I believe there's a plastic film that they pull off. I don't know how it works.
On Mars?
Yeah, the camera has got like a plastic film that they pull off, as far as I know. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. And they've got compressed air, as far as I know, as well.
There was a comment that just appeared on screen. Someone looked it up that there is some sort of protective glass plate or something over the lens.
Let me
I know
find
that
it.
they can clean it.
Yes, but here with this comparison of 4 different ones, you see that all of them are different. And if all of them were, for instance, on a single, let's say, window or something like that, they would be, much more identical, at least with color. Of course, different shapes, but it would be different. And I think that these photos show that one is closer, one is more farther away. And they are also, if we are comparing it and let's say logically, what are they? They are all of the same size, and same different kind of object type, but at the same time they're a bit different. This one has, this probe to the left, the one has probe to the right, the one has no probe at all. But all of them have like similar shape, like it was one model of a drone or something.
It's
but
that
with
horizontal
different kind
line. They all possess.
Yeah,
look at that.
Of,
Look at that.
But you guys see
Jason.
what's going. You
Exactly.
see what's going on
That's the
here, though,
gimbal.
right? If we're making such a big deal about this low resolution gimbal video footage, which is arguably compelling because it's in motion and it's moving and things like that. And all it looks like is a disc with a central bulbous section on it. And we're seeing the same damn thing on Mars. And like Oleg was just saying, they're similar, but they're not exactly the same, meaning to say it's harder to buy into the notion that it's just simply a camera artifact, because it does appear to be distance dependent. It's not always appearing the same way in the same spot at the same size. So can we not also at least entertain the possibility that these damn things are floating around on Mars?
Yeah, also, if it was just, let's say, dust on a window, one would look, let's say, like flying saucer, but the other would be, just a dot, or the other would be just a line. But these are having all similar structure that is irregular. It's not looking like casual dust or casual something that is, attached to the lens or to the window. So it's clearly not it.
And each of these is in a different position. So it's not taken by just the one camera that has a potential artifact or defect on it. These are taken by different cameras, and these things appear in different parts of those photographs.
I think we can all agree that whatever these things are, considering they are all photographed in Mars in maybe not so big intervals of time, that they all share the same technology, whatever they are, right? And I don't think the shape is that different, because we haven't seen a 3D representation all around it, so we don't know how it looks from multiple
Yes, we haven't seen bottom views of these things. They don't come close enough.
We are only guessing. I would say that they are probably all from the same type of design, especially the left side and the top right, but it seems to me that whatever they are, they all share the same technology and the same concept to sustain themselves in the air, whatever they are.
Yeah, very similar, and they're all horizontal to the surface.
Yeah, that's the thing that's sticking out to me, that if you're going to rule out pareidolia, is you take that strong horizontal line. But now even when you really look at it, okay, those bottom two, you've always got that bulbous bit centered. Now the top two, man, if I look at the one what's on my top left, you notice the line that comes down to the vertical, right? The perpendicular, the straight up and down, right? Okay, it's got a slight angle. Well, if you will look at that horizontal line, you will see that it is slightly angled as well. And so is that top part coming out, right? So I can almost see a tilt of motion. And the same thing. Exactly. Everywhere else it's horizontal. There it's like I can see a tilt of motion. So that stands out to me, and at least no matter what it is, it rules out pareidolia, because it's not just dust, because these characteristics tell me it's something out there, whatever it is.
This is exactly why I love this conversation that we're having, because that didn't even occur to me. The fact that there is this central middle section here, but it is more or less horizontal. It's not like we're capturing these things at 45-degree angles or 90-degree angles.
No.
They're all like that. That didn't even occur to me. So good eye. It's excellent.
Cool.
I don't get mad at people when they say pareidolia for no reason, Brian. I mean,
yeah, but pareidolia here
tested these damn eyes, man.
You can't use pareidolia here because you're looking into the atmosphere. So it's not looking to a rock or to a geological formation. You're looking into the air.
We're misusing.
You're looking into the air. So
yeah.
Even if it is a fly, even if it is a bug, it's no less important or no less fantastic. So whatever it is actually flying. It assumes different positions according to movement, and I would say that it's gliding on the bottom right image that we were seeing, or stationary. It's stationary form.
When Ricardo was first saying you can't use pareidolia here, I was thinking, no, yes you can. But I get his point 100%. because even if it is pareidolia, like if it's something, if the pattern we recognize from here on Earth, because our brains are programmed to recognize it, then we're recognizing that shit on Mars. So it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a dang drone or a fly or whatever, it doesn't matter.
It's not pareidolia, is misinterpretation, is not knowing what it is, but it is something, right? It's not just some.
And it's symmetrical. It's a symmetrical, structured object. Interesting.
You see, we're doing exactly what the rest of the world thinks NASA should be doing. NASA's collecting photos, and you'd think they got you guys remember that movie Armageddon with Bruce Willis?
Oh
okay?
yeah, I love that movie.
Okay. And they go to him and they're like, hey, we've got this problem. There's this big rock flying towards Earth. We need your help in saving the Earth. And he's like, you need our help? We're just a bunch of drillers. Don't you guys? You guys are NASA. Don't you guys have lots of smart guys in a room just thinking up shit all the time on like how to solve problems? You come to us, like that's what we expect of NASA, that they've just got a bunch of smart guys in the room who are doing this type of analysis. But the problem is they're not. Now, they may secretly be doing it. We can only speculate, but at least publicly, and that's the part of the problem when we're messaging to the public, is that the public thinks that if NASA finds something cool like this, that they're going to do a press release and it's going to be headline news, but they don't. So then it's the one guy in South Africa, it's the one guy in Colorado, it's the one guy here or there that week who posts an image and we don't know who they are, so we don't know what their reputation's like, and it's just like maybe it is, maybe it isn't, blah blah blah, and there's no proper analysis. But look at how much we're just I'm learning new things right here after you guys are taking another look at this, because it helps to get crowdsourcing is a great thing. It helps to get multiple people on it. We don't have any expertise in UFOs aside, more than other people do. But just look at the common sense analysis that's coming out of this group. I mean, this is fantastic, guys. So, and John, by the way, this is a magnificent presentation. John has carefully curated stuff. First of all, this is a handful of dozens of other things in the sky and oh, by the way, shout out to Joe White. Joe White is another Mars researcher who found some of these here. Okay. Yes. Joe White's been doing this for a while. Hi, Joe, if you're watching, thank you for doing what you're doing. But for Jean to go through this and expertly handle the graphics and this he does such professional work. Even just this PowerPoint presentation, I'm impressed by it. And oh, by the way, I want to let everybody know that, Jean and I talk behind the scenes all the time, and we're going back and forth, and we're discovering new things. And yes, there are camera artifacts that do appear from time to time, little squigglies and things like that. Maybe we can show examples of those later. Okay, so we do know what those are, and we can rule those out, because when it's something like this because those camera artifacts appear in multiple photographs, always in the same spot.
Do you want me to show them, Brian?
If you have one handy, the little squiggly booger looking thing that we were looking at before.
Brian, let me just add to what you said, that if NASA decided to make like a room with a few, like they did to the comet, but in an open conversation, it would become immediate a sensation. People would look up NASA and say, oh, this is interesting. So they would have more financing. They would have the support of the population, right? And they're doing the exact opposite. So even in terms of management of public attention, they're trying to behave like some closed church that doesn't like to have many people in their masses. So it's all counterproductive. It's all weird. Why? What happened to the Carl Sagans?
Intelligence agency, bro. It's an intelligence agency. Everything else is for show for the public. That's why. Don't expect it to make sense, my earnest friend. It's not gonna. It's a secret. It's
It's
like
been
the CIA and me going and knocking on their door and saying, "Hey, can I have the truth?" You know, it's just you don't expect it.
But what I can say is Brian went on Talk TV and it went mainstream. There's a bunch of this stuff going viral. We are live right now on 7 different YouTube channels, 3 X channels, and a Facebook page. And you know, this is how this shit gets done, right? Because we can't rely on that closed church. Ricardo put it perfectly. There's a reason why they operate that way, and Jason hit on the head too. It's secrecy. So let's blow the roof off that and take a look up at some more shit.
And
from
we are
Mars.
8. We are 8, and they only have 5 black helicopters. So some of us will survive.
Anyone?
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see those 2 smaller items to the left? Are very light grey in color. That to me indicates that they're much further than the strange saucer.
Much further
Yeah.
or much closer?
Further, because there's more haze between
Okay,
the camera
so-
and those objects.
What John is showing here, here's yet another example of one of these funny looking things. John found this trio of objects in the sky, but on the left there, John.
This was Joe. Joe actually
Oh,
found
okay,
these.
sorry. Joe White found this. Joe
White, yeah.
Joe
so-
White, shout him out.
Yeah.
What Alien TV?
But show him what's on the left there, Sean.
Yeah, that's that strange, weird, squiggly bit. It looks like a jellyfish.
That
or
weird squiggly
something
bit.
weird.
Yeah, that
I
appears
don't have
on.
a close-up of it. But
Yeah.
that always shows up in this particular camera in exactly that spot.
Right. So we know that's a camera artifact.
Yes.
You
Where
can
is
you
it?
can see a clear difference between a camera artifact and what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
And you see that smudge on the upper left corner that almost looks like a rover, appears in every photograph, so it's clearly a defect of the lenses too.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, interesting.
Is there no way to go forward? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that. What the?
I mean,
It looks almost
This
like
reminds,
an
Go ahead,
acorn
Sarah. Go ahead,
on the
Sarah.
top left.
this reminds me of like the Ashton Forbes video with the MH370 with the 3 orbs that were circling
does.
it. This looks like that formation to me. That's my first
It does.
observation.
There was a formation there for sure, and this looks like that.
Yep.
Weird.
Yeah, in my second UFO sighting, I also saw 3 orbs in a triangular pattern. They always seem to come in like threes like this. And there are other photographs of orbs seen in threes on Mars too.
Yeah. What's the date?
The date.
No, it's just a comment on the thing. It says looks like screwdriver tuning says looks like MS370 in black and white. What's the date? I think he wants to know what's the date of this and at the time of that, because supposedly they warped out an airplane in the middle of the sky for no reason.
Yeah, it looks like a side view of a stealth bomber almost, you know?
Okay, the date 21st of 2021, 10:30, Sol 3282.
Compare
Is
that
that what they're
screwdriver.
asking?
but some of these were photographed recently, like within the past month. Isn't that right, John?
The one that I showed you in the previous presentation, yes.
Yeah.
With the
like-
boxed-in areas, that was photographed about 2 weeks ago. I discovered that one, yeah.
Is it my screen, or if you make a curved line between the 2 smudges? So you have the big black one in the middle, right? And then you have the 2 smudges to the left. If you keep that line, is it my screen, or there is a tiny little one, like a finger apart from the other 2?
Yeah, I see it. I know what he's talking about. slightly to the right. It almost looks like the same shape. But
Right
it's very-
beneath the black one, right beneath it, you keep coming down and make a line with the other two. There is something there.
Yeah, there is. I see it.
You can see it, John?
No.
I don't see it.
But then again, the contrast and brightness on my screen.
It might be
not
some dust in my screen, but
I'm literally just wiping the shit off my screen right now.
Same.
And I can see something to the bottom right, like if it was the bottom of a triangle, up towards whatever that is, to the cloud or whatever it is on the right.
Hey, I got a question for Jean.
Interesting.
One thing to know, I want to make a comment and then a question. One thing that I find interesting is that a lot of these anomalies, most of the rover anomalies that are photographed are coming from Curiosity. And
Yes.
as far as I know,
Okay.
there's hardly anything coming from Perseverance. Now, two things to note here. Well, rather,
Yes.
Perseverance is the one that has that little tiny Ingenuity helicopter. So for those people wondering if it's just the Ingenuity helicopter that's flying around, no, it's not. That's a different rover, a different part of the planet. But I guess my question then is, John, if you could speculate for a moment, why don't you think we're seeing much stuff come from Perseverance? Is it because you guys aren't looking at it, or you are looking at it and there's just nothing there?
We do look. I look at the rover's websites every day, sometimes 3 times a day, to make sure I'm not missing something.
That's dedication.
Thanks.
Yeah,
And
it
then I
really
look at-
is.
And then I look at the HiRise camera website every day as well. Yeah, the Perseverance has photographed three aerial phenomena that I've covered in the past. It looked like a parachute that was opening with I don't know, weird object attached to it. And the other 2 were orbs, red orbs in the atmosphere.
Okay,
But,
so there's something there, but not as much. That's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah, I can show you guys.
no, it's on my screen. So forget what I said. I copied the image and posted on Brian on our group, and there's nothing there. There's nothing there. So
There
it's
we
my-
go. That's how we know we're being thorough.
Sarah, I wanted to get back, if we could entertain a little bit more woo here. There's a couple I know, a married couple that I know who live in South Carolina, and their names are Allison and William Brown. Allison is an educator, and they both have a military background. So they're both veterans, but he's retired. But William is a channeler, and I've interviewed them for my YouTube, and they have a whole book about what they channel from what they call a galactic collective of extraterrestrial intelligence. So if you guys know anything about channeling, then they sort of have a lot of experience with doing that. But they have a whole book out called The Origin Story, and a lot of it, it's just their transcriptions from their channeling sessions, and a lot of it has to do with Mars. So I'm not sure if it was you, Sarah, or somebody else who brought up the idea that what we're seeing here is possibly an extraterrestrial intelligence who is monitoring our activity on the surface of Mars. Well, that's exactly what they tell me. Allison and William, they say they do channeling on Mars, and they say, yes, there's a presence there who is monitoring our activity on Mars. So we have it's a different data point, not something that I would expect to resonate with most people, but I do think, look, if we, for those of you who know anything about remote viewing, this whole psychic phenomenon, Lord Almighty, I just heard on CNN today about some guy who worked at FEMA who said he was teleported. So like shit's getting crazy.
So the
okay?
Waffle House, he was and he's doubled down on that. Yeah.
Okay, you guys, you heard that, right? So
luck.
I'm entertaining a lot more
Who
these
hasn't
days.
blacked out and teleported to a Waffle House? Let's be honest. It's
Right.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say that I'm actually writing a book with Allison and William, and I'm essentially putting Blue Planet Red in written form. And what we're going to do is then they're going to channel the collective based on the questions that I come up with regarding Mars. But I hear from them from time to time, and they do say exactly that. Now that might mean more to some people than it does to others, but it is. And I sit here and wonder, well, what interest would they have in our rovers? They're just little dinky toys, like wandering around. But hey, who knows? I don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm just entertaining a lot more these days. So there is that interesting data point.
Well, don't you want to watch your kid learn to ride a bike?
So, sorry, we broke up. What was that?
Sarah, this time just you. Leave your spirit out of it because it gets confusing when you both talk at the same time.
Sorry.
perfect.
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed that. Sarah, what did you say?
Don't you want to watch your kid learn to ride a bike?
Yeah.
Easy.
That's true. That's true.
Brian, you know what I was thinking about earlier today? Why would they be surveilling the rover? It's got a nuclear reactor on it.
Playing with fire.
Yeah,
they're
there's a
saying.
nuclear
Right.
reactor on it. And they
Right.
are known to visit nuclear sites on Earth.
Right. It's powered by radioactive decay, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's got a fusion reactor on it or something like that, powering it.
Megan, was it you? This whole idea about, us wanting to travel to Mars and colonizing Mars, how far-fetched is it that maybe sometime in the ancient past that the opposite happened? One thing I wanted to just finish off with regards to Allison and William's work is that they essentially detail the history of what happened here in our solar system, and essentially that's what the story is. I don't really get into a lot of that with Blue Planet Red. It's not my area of expertise, but there is this story, and I think it's found even in myth. Maybe Ricardo, you can talk a little bit more about this, but yes, humans were essentially either humans as we know them now or humans in a different form kind of started on Mars and were transported over here to Earth. But a lot of what they channel actually syncs up with the research of John Brandenburg, which we'll get into a different episode, the demise of Mars. So there's a lot of correlation, which is why they do such great work and they speak with such conviction that I'm inclined to really open up my mind to this world of channeling, even though I've never had an experience. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff, but again, with everything that's going on these days, I'm entertaining a lot and incorporating that into my analysis of things here and there. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Absolutely. Maybe we could get some remote viewers. I'm sure someone's done remote viewing of Mars as well.
Yes, interesting you should mention that. I got a video publishing Tuesday on that specifically. So
How did I know?
Shamanistic public service note for you there, B. Listen, channeling is a legit thing. There is information and it can be accessed and it can be sent to or through certain people. I must say though, trust your get to know your channel, bro, because like with anything in life, things that can't be concretely verified, you're just relying on your own intuition, your own heart when it comes to these people. And it really helps if you could get to know them a little bit so that you can further your own intuitive read on them.
Yes.
Yeah, and I figured you'd back me up there. Thanks, Sarah.
I haven't finished yet because I only started it 30 years ago, so I didn't have the time yet. But in my cosmology and in my perception of history that comprehends all mythology, all the history that I know, all tales, oral traditions, geology, science, and so on and so forth, is my perception that human beings as we know it, as we know them, would not exist naturally. And that's my perception. So if we bypass that, then I think that there are living beings very closer to us that I call the shepherds. And so I think that each one of these races of shepherds are like the shepherds of a galaxy, let's suppose, right? And so in this solar system, as Brian so brilliantly demonstrates on his, and he's thinking now, what is he going to say on his documentary? Mars was an habitable planet way before the Earth, because the Earth had no moon, it rotates too fast, the weather is too unpredictable, and so Mars was the perfect place for that. So I think, in my perception, that this race of shepherds would choose Mars to monitor this system as their lookout point. So now imagine that another of these shepherd races did a terrible job in their galaxy and they are fleeing for their lives, and by using what I call portals, try to escape from their side to another place. And they, by accident, as I put it in my cosmology, by accident, they came out in a portal of the planet Phaeton. Well, a ship cannot go through a portal, and there is this huge cataclysm, this huge nuclear reaction. Phaeton explodes, it damaged Mars, but they still have the time to go to Mars, and there is this other race of people, right? So there is this war ensues. After Mars is destroyed, they have to go somewhere, right? And then we have this moon appearance over our planet. And the moon is probably not natural. It's still on debate, but it's probably not natural. So moon terraforms the Earth, and they need people to repopulate. So they go to the most advanced creature that they find, a bonobo or an Australopithecus or something of the kind, and develop different types of humans. And there we are today, right? And all these battles, all these histories that start always the gods were ruling. Then it's the son of the gods. Then is godly appointed as a ruler, and then is just a government, is what we have here. And we see representations in history of these two types of races that are, I call the slavers and the teachers. And we see that on the side of the teachers, the cities all have houses of the same size as we find in Mars, as that Inca city. All the houses are the same size. There is no difference in classes. Everybody lives the same. There is no gigantic agricultural explorations. And on the other side, we find the opposite. Huge agricultural explorations. Imagine Angkor Wat, for instance, that a small city of a few elite ones are controlling a vast millions of slaves that harvest the area, and so on and so forth. So Mars to me is this all to say that to me Mars is the origin of life of this solar system. It's not the Earth. It even scientifically, it's Mars that comes first. It's not the Earth. So if anything, would be Martians and not Earthlings, just escaped from that huge cataclysm, or descent for those that came from that. Some perhaps kept that technology, some perhaps still live on the Earth, underground, underwater, and that's the people we call aliens, that have a technology that we don't have, right? And probably they live secured from us. But I'm sorry for all this science fiction, but I just wanted to put it out.
Yeah, I think that it's important. Jason, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Sarah as well. I don't have a good understanding of the what we call myths and ancient legends and things of that nature. But I have heard that there's a lot that's said about Mars and about life there in the ancient past, and then wars in the sky and people coming here. So, given what's happening in the world and all the revelations that we're having almost on a daily basis, it seems like it's way overwhelming. But I do think it's necessary to incorporate this field of research into the more data-driven stuff that is just a little bit more easier for us to interpret. But for those of us, myself included, who are a little less spiritual in that sense, then I would love to learn more about that.
Well, Ricardo calls it science fiction, but there's a comment over there that says, what sci-fi is soft disclosure. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's just like I was saying with the mission to Mars being closer to a documentary. Yeah, totally. It acclimates us with these ideas, because if you were to hear any of these things for the first time with no prep work involved, you would just be like, yeah, right. And even, myself, and I consider myself open-minded and spiritually inclined. Even I hear things sometimes that I'm just like, yeah, no. And the most important thing about it is that you cannot take, and we talked about this morning on our news segment, you cannot take anyone else's interpretation. You can't take that for a fact. In any scenario, you can do this too. This is what Jesus was trying to say. You can do this too. You can channel. You can channel things. You can dream about things. I mean, a lot of people say they've never had an experience, but they have. They just didn't recognize it as such. And it takes a trained eye, and you training your eye to see that. But in the end, it will only ever mean anything to you personally. That's the trouble with it. You can see it. I mean, I dreamed about it. I saw it in HD. It was a movie, like I was there. I could feel how it felt, and the dread and the impending doom and all the things to come. But I can't relay that to anyone in a serious capacity. So that's the problem.
Science still doesn't recognize that we can dream in color.
Well,
did you know that? They think that we dream in black and white.
Yeah, and see, Sarah is one of those I'm talking about, Brian, when, find you ones you trust, man. And that's what it's all about, because it is, you're talking about information that's coming to you intuitively, so i.e. not through a concrete channel. Well, what you're going to use the same tool to decide if, you trust that person and what they're telling you, right? That's all. And I've been blessed to go through that process with Sarah over here.
I think it's like one of our biggest mistakes just to consider that the limit of the power of our own perception is also the limit of all that there is to perceive, because we have a very narrow bandwidth of measuring tools at our human tool, that whatever we are. I don't know what we are.
You limit it to 5 senses, Dave, and we already know that our senses are limited, right, bro? My cat can see more colors of light than I can. Therefore, It can see more of reality than I can. Therefore, it probably should be more of an expert on what's real. We are very, very limited, by design.
And we have tools like Jean's using his computer to analyze tools that are used to measure this stuff. But it's my belief that the wavelength is like infinitely broader. And so we have to have our minds open to that.
And I think it's very important to not, just coming from personal responsibility. When you know that that's what you're doing and that's what you're capable of perceiving, it's important that you not present that as fact.
Right.
I think you have a responsibility to not present that as fact. I can tell y'all all day, yeah, right. We all came, life originated on Mars. I was there, I saw it, I'm a witness to it, but that doesn't mean anything to you guys, and it's not quantifiable. I can't quantify any of that. I can't prove it to you, so you have to find out for yourself. And someone just said that in the comments. I think it was Tammy. You have to find it. That's the whole point. That's the whole goal, is for you to find it yourself.
Sarah, when was this dream of yours?
2019.
Right on the money. That's funny how she had that right there. She knew.
Because we don't know what we don't know, we keep evaluating things, taking the chance of what I call judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
Yep.
So
Yeah, you're sending a duck to eagle school, and Dave, you hit on the point of limiting ourselves, right? Look, we hit around, and Dave, Brian, you were hitting around when you talk about all these spiritual things. We keep hitting around this idea, this myth that should be dispelled of ontological shock, right? That somehow religion or spirit or ideas of society would be destroyed if we accepted these things, right? Well, I challenge any person of faith, right? Who for whatever way looks at the Bible. Okay, what do you see in the beginning when you look at the words? What do you see? God says, I got this place, and he talks to other entities, right? You call them angels, call them whatever, other damn entities. And he says, this place is special, stay away. And some of those go, okay. And some of those go, haha, fuck that. And they dive in, right? Now, that to me, that narrative, which is handed to you in your Bible, be it Enoch, be it the traditional old King James version right there in the Genesis logos, right? You right then have a route to accept that, well, doesn't that make sense if some shit went wrong over there on Mars? And so now all of a sudden this needs to be the place where none of the stuff that messed over there can mess up over here. And I use that little thought exploration to show people how easily all of this, especially, if they're humanoid or whatever, fits into narratives that human beings are already walking around equipped with. But we have a people in control who are so very interested in keeping our ideas about ourselves limited that we think that's a foolish thing, when actually these texts that we've been walking around with already basically say it and allow for it, and they don't limit it. All right, that's all I got on limiting.
But you have to understand that Eva was completely tripping out on Mars, and she saw that snake, and what she thought was an apple was actually the button that says nuclear Armageddon. So she pressed it, right? It was an apple. Even called Adam, saying, "Hey, come and look and see this. So pretty, those lights." And poof. So
the cylinder is the petrified tree, right?
It's we just don't know. We just can't dismiss anything just by the fact that we cannot conceive it into our reality, into our perception. It doesn't mean it's false. It just means that we need to look into it from every angle before we dismiss it. And I think that's what we're doing here. And we are not even looking to the photographs that shows lakes, trees, okay? Because there are Mars photographs from
We're getting there.
Yeah. Shows trees, lake.
Yes.
Everyone
I showed
watching
you
will be
guys that
doing more
one.
of that stuff in the next few weeks. So we're going to show all that stuff. I think about scales, man. Like the universe gets bigger and smaller, like kind of forever, and we're just we're on some part of that scale. I think it's probably on one of the smaller ends of the scale. There's trillions of beings living inside and within us that work and like make it so that we're doing our thing. The planet itself is very similar, and I think that might go on forever, guys. So I don't limit any of this stuff, when it comes to looking at evidence and then like taking anything into consideration. I'll take it into consideration, man.
I agree.
Is that a mic drop or what?
It might be.
No, I was actually going to point out to you that you're going to lead yourself into an interesting territory there, as you're not leaving room for perhaps why it is that humans find themselves in the particular position we are in right now, in this massive macro and micro, as above, so below. Why the fuck are we in the middle? What is it, our point and purpose in all of this, and what role do we have to play, and are we now playing? So don't lose that while you go keeping your mind open to all of it.
Well, it's true. We're playing some kind of weird role, and we're all trying to figure out what that is right now.
We're on the leading edge of it, bro. And when you're on the leading edge of creation, and you're on the leading edge of any movement, and you're on the leading edge of any energy, there is only one thing to do, and that is ride that wave. And we're riding it.
That's what
We are-
we're doing.
Ride it
We are-
with kindness. That's what I say. Ride it with kindness and compassion. Ricardo wants to talk about this dang mission to the moon, which I think is relevant right now. Everyone's talking about it. And I think it's relevant to the topic, right? Like, because we're talking about what we know is our technology that we have here as humans and what they tell us they have. You know what I mean? Right, Ricardo?
Yeah. So my problem is this. We all know what happens when a person jumps out of a car that it's going 200 miles an hour, right? If you go in the highway, imagine that the highway is a huge parabolic curve, okay? And on the horizon, there is another highway going in an even bigger circle around an orbit, let's call it like that, right? And what you're doing is you're jumping from one moving car to go to the other moving car, turn around it, and come back to the first car that you jumped from, right? The problem is the car is not in the same place where you jumped from the car. It will be much further away because it's moving at a considerable speed through space, although in a circular orbit, I get it. But once they are, this is the explanation I was given. What you're saying is nonsense because it's all part of the same system and it's never jumping out of a car because it keeps moving at the same speed that it was launched. No, it doesn't, because it's a perpendicular orbit. It's not following the same direction. It's going in a perpendicular orbit. It's going 90 degrees to the side to go to find an object that when he gets there, it's gone because it's also moving quite fast. So when they start going around it, it's already going away from them. There is no pull to get them back. And to get them back, the Earth is now extraordinarily more distance than it was when they jumped. Not only that, they are on the orbit of the moon, and now they have to come back and accelerate beyond what Earth is doing to get back to it. And they say to me, no, the speed is always maintained. They never lose the speed of the Earth, so they only need to give a tiny itsy bitsy of acceleration and they will catch Earth and fall into it. So I'm not buying any of this because, first of all, the orbits of the planets have nothing to do with what we're told. We're talking about a spring. We are moving as a spring that is being pushed away by the sun. The sun is tugging lots of objects that are coming. Imagine a spring that starts small, you stretch it, and it gets wider and wider circles on that spring, and that's exactly what the solar system is. It's being tugged at incredible speed, right? And we are the Mercury, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Mercury, Venus, and Earth. We are the third link of that spring, the third circle of that spring, right? And someone is coming out of that spring and therefore not subjected to those forces, because that's exactly what the ship does. It escapes the gravitational force of the planet. It's on space at the speed that he managed to go by doing a loop around the Earth to go to the moon, which they say they increased their speed by 15 kilometers per second or something like that.
Ricardo, don't you have a graphic that shows this?
I think we do. If you can find it.
You just look for the real.
What you mean?
You just look for the real movement of the solar system, and you'll find out it's this spring that I'm talking about. The sun is pulling all these planets behind it, not at the same level. It's all behind it. There is no ecliptic. There is no plane of planets. It's all behind the sun, right? Everything is coming tugged behind the sun at huge distance from one thing to the other. And they are telling us that this ship is coming out of the Earth, going around once the Earth to gain to slingshot view, to go to the moon, and then we'll come back to the moon as if the Earth is still on the same place, which is not real at all, because the moon is still
Ricardo,
going.
I had advanced physics and we did similar things. I remember, escape velocity and stuff like that. The basic thing is, and it's again a miracle of Earth, moon, and sun stuff, how it's
math.
ideal. Why are we seeing all the time only one side of the moon? Like 10 years ago, it
Oh,
was
but
the
that
same side.
I can explain to you with
I got a
with an
visual
orange
of what
and,
he's
and,
talking
and,
about.
and
Yeah,
the
but
melon.
I want to know that
Screen share, Jason.
casual physics, how it's explained in casual physics is that just as Earth is spinning, the moon is orbiting around the Earth at the same speed. So it's not like I'm shooting a rocket and the moon is on the other side. It will be always relative to each other. The same thing when you are mentioning the end, that you are coming back to Earth and Earth is in a completely different place. It's relative. The moon is so small, it's relative to the Earth only because the Earth is the biggest gravity. Of course, the sun is also, but the Earth here is the biggest gravitational pull, so it will always. So there, according to basic physics, there is not a problem with that. But I want to watch how it.
I think there's. I think they can do the math on it.
Nearly 800,000.
Yeah, I was doing that. I had like a textbook behind me,
I think
something.
there's
Maybe I
very
can
complex math that
share
can do
some writings, or like I can maybe graphically try to show you. But
yeah,
let's check this out. Let's
there
check
it
out
is. There it
Jason's-
is.
yeah,
There
this
it
is true.
Can we watch the whole thing? It's 1 minute and 18 seconds.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, let's watch the whole thing.
Most people picture the solar system as a flat clockwork, planets circling a still sun forever. That would be true if the sun didn't move. If the sun were motionless, planets would trace perfect closed loops. But the truth is far stranger. The sun races through the Milky Way at 230 kilometers per second, nearly 800,000 kilometers per hour, orbiting the galactic center 26,000 light years away. And our galaxy itself is moving too, drifting toward the Great Attractor within the Laniakea supercluster at nearly 2 million kilometers per hour, completing one galactic orbit every 230 million years. It drags the entire solar system with it, every planet, moon and comet tracing a vast, unrepeatable spiral through the void. From the side, everything changes. The planets don't circle, they spiral, twisting behind the speeding sun. In a single year, we travel 7 billion kilometers through the galaxy. We're not orbiting a stationary sun, we're chasing it through space in a spiral cosmic motion.
Yeah. So to bring
that's
this
the
back
one.
to-
What
to bring this back to Mars here real quick. If what Ricardo's saying is we can't do the math to make this trip to the moon happen, then we definitely can't send rovers and shit to Mars, right?
No, we can. Look, that normally our orbits are orbits of intersection. So what Apollo missions did is not going perpendicular to the moon. It's going after the moon or be in front of it, right? So we catch its orbit and then we follow it. And what this ship is doing...
We don't catch the orbit because the moon is rotating in the same number of days, not days, but within the same speed just as the Earth is orbiting. So it's always, that's why always, whatever on Earth we are, I'm seeing the same side of the moon.
We
It's
see
always...
67% of the moon is more or less what we can see. But what I'm saying is Apollo missions did a circular orbit in order to chase the moon. You understand what I'm saying? It's a circle to catch the moon at the same parallel. They became parallel with the moon. That's not what Artemis is doing. Artemis is going straight. It comes out at 90 degrees, expecting that when it reaches the plane of the orbit of the moon will be there. And when it starts going around it, by the time it gets to about 200 degrees of the circle, the moon is no longer there. It's already passed. You can see this on NASA animations. It's already passed. There is no moon to tug them back to the Earth. It's not there anymore. So when they're coming back, they have to catch the Earth again. And they are telling us that all of this happens without anything gets further away.
You are never catching the Earth because always the moon, that's why we see one side, it's always with this side to the Earth.
No, Alex. Everything is moving in one direction. You just saw it.
Yes,
Everything is moving. But you aren't,
Yes.
because you jumped out of the car. You
Yes,
jumped
but
out
it's
of the
completely
car.
different. I don't remember everything exactly. I have to mention that, but I remember there were different calculations and stuff like that. That it's only about the Earth and the Moon, because all the other gravitational pull is so far away, it doesn't matter. And the Moon is rotating. That's why we are seeing, each night there is one side of the Moon, because the Moon is also rotating by itself, but it
The
takes
moon
the same
rotates.
amount.
The moon
as the
rotates
Earth.
on itself at the same speed that it orbits
Yeah.
the Earth. That's why we
Yeah.
always see only 60.
That's why you always land from, let's say, if you land on this side on
But
the
it's
Moon, of
still
course you land there.
3,000 kilometers away.
Yeah. But
And
you
you are
always come
3,000
down to Earth. There is only
Yes.
Earth.
No, there isn't, because it's all moving.
I
But
actually
it's
think they're a
moving
little under
relatively.
100,000 miles from Earth right now,
Earth
guys.
and Earth and Moon are moving relatively. It's like two objects, and they are moving like. With
Yes,
this,
they
but
are, but-
all
Oleg,
within
Oleg.
the same scale. to
Okay,
each other.
Oleg. Even if it is a plane, even if you imagine a plane, okay, and you are shooting perpendicular, when you get there, right, you still have to get back, but the object that you are going to is no longer there because it already continued on his orbit. So what you're trying to say to me makes sense if they say, okay, let's wait for the entire cycle of orbit, and then the Earth would be closer to us again. Although that isn't also true. It's not true, because everything is going at incredible speed in one direction, and the ship isn't, because the ship escaped the gravitational force of the Earth to go to the moon.
So
and then it's going
Ricardo-
to escape the gravitational force
Yeah,
of the
I
moon
understand
to
that,
come
but
back
I
to
just
the
know
Earth.
from
Still, just
physics,
like if I have two cars
it's
going
just
70
about the
miles an hour,
relativity.
right, guys? And I jump from one car to the other, the cars they're linked, because I'm leaving this car going
But
70
it
miles an
doesn't
hour
apply.
that way,
Sorry,
no matter how
this
fast
car
I'm going
analogy
over.
is not applied here.
Yeah, you've got
because-
momentum that takes you to the other car.
Because if you are having this metaphor of jumping from one car to the other, you have the plane on Earth. They are driving on Earth, and here in space you do not have it. It would be like there is no gravity, there is no if you are driving two cars, you are driving them on road. But in this case there is no road because there isn't this gravitational. It could be the sun's one.
Ricardo,
but-
are you saying they're lying to us about the mission? Because because that's the argument here. Like, if they're lying,
The argument
to us
is
about
that
the mission,
they
then
have.
What does that mean for what they're telling us about space in general? You know what I mean? Because if what you're saying is true, they're totally full of shit about this moon mission. And it's a big nut flex from Trump or something to distract us from the war or
No,
whatever.
what I'm
That's
saying-
probably true. But what are you saying? Like, you're saying that they're lying to us about the mission?
No, what I'm saying is, if this mission is going as they say, they have different types of propulsion that they are not telling us. Because when you are in the Earth, you are being transported by the Earth. If you are in the moon, you are being transported by the moon. But both of these objects are going at incredible speed in one direction. And once you come out of it, you are no longer being tugged by that energy, because you're no longer in planet Earth and you're no longer in the moon. You are in the vacuum.
Because that's why the moon is tugged by the Earth. The Earth has so much gravitational pull that in between the moon and the Earth, you're still tugged. It's one system. Moon, small ball, Earth, the big ball. You in between, you're right, tugged all the way down. There are some kind of calculations that when you go beyond, let's say the moon, I don't remember if the moon is at the end, but probably not. When you go beyond that, that's why there are problems with the Mars stuff. For instance, going to Mars, you need to on specific dates and stuff like that. But if you are in between the moon and the Earth, you are tugged by them. So it's like in a single line.
So, see, I think the car analogy does work now here in the end, because you're moving in a system. That's all I was trying to get across to you. Just like, so Ricardo, yeah, it works like that, man. If I leave the Earth to the moon, I'm in that gravitational system, but I've also got that forward. If we're going through the spiral, I've got the forward momentum, right, of the planet I left, which is also the same as the moon, because they're locked in a system, just
That's
as
how
if I
they
leapt
explain
from
it.
car to car.
They explained to me that they don't even need engines to do this. They slingshot around the Earth used a little bit of the engine. They are now going to the moon and coming back without the use of engines. They don't need the engines aside from doing the turn to get back, right? And I'm sorry, but I don't buy it. Because if you are being tugged by that gravity, then it means that some energy has to keep that happening. And how do you escape that energy to go to the moon? Because you are escaping that energy to go to the moon. You are violating that gravitational force by going to the moon, right? That's why a ship accelerates to the neutral point to get to the moon and starts to decelerate from the neutral point to get to the moon. That's how Apollo missions work. And that neutral point is essential to actually finding the moon. That's why so many missions failed, because that neutral point was badly calculated, because the true gravity of the Earth is not 1/6 of the true gravity of the moon is not 1/6 of the Earth. Is 66.6% of the surface gravity factor of the Earth, and this is proven, although it only exists in 2 places in the literature. That's why so many agencies fail to go to the moon, because they are still calculating the neutral point, considering the 1/6 of gravity of the moon, which is false. Apollo only managed to land there after they realized that it was a minimum of 66% of the surface gravity factor of the Earth, right? And that's very important here. So when you are going perpendicular from traveling from one object to the other, what you're telling me is that your speed to the object doesn't eliminate the gravity force that is tugging you around the Earth itself through the moon. Right? You are even taking out the gravity of the sun. You're just putting the Earth and the moon, locking you in their orbit, which is not true. It's just not true. You are breaking that force to go there, because otherwise you couldn't.
I want to bring this back to Mars. We need to connect. This is Mars Disclosure Live, okay? The reason I brought this up was, to contextualize, disagreements about just how we get to the moon or not, right? Or even if we've ever even been there, And I think when it comes to Mars, we have to be asking these questions as well. So we got rovers there, right? They're taking pictures and shit. So we're looking at them tonight live. When it comes to like these disagreements to questions about even just going to the moon, what does that mean about Mars, Brian?
Well, Dave, Mars is behind us. The sun is tugging the whole system, and Mars is behind us. So as soon as you leap out of the car into a floating vacuum, you just need a few phasers to take you in the right direction, and you eventually end there. We just use engines to get there faster, because it's behind us. Even if you stayed stuck in the same place of space, you would cross the lines of Mars and then all the planets, because the sun is tugging us in one direction. And this is the perception that people are not getting about our solar system.
No,
right?
they wouldn't, because that's why, for instance, the satellites are all the time on the same orbit, because you're being kept on the orbit.
Sure.
Yes, so even if it's pulling the sun, everything, and if you're on the, let's say, to simplify everything, there is orbit of the Earth and there is orbit of the Mars. You need some force to get from one orbit to the orbit. The same with the satellites. If you want satellite a little bit higher, you need some force. So it's not that you will just fall onto this other orbit or on the place.
But the ship is going beyond that threshold. That's why there's no satellites there, because it's going beyond the threshold. And the moon is attracted by the Earth, as you were saying, because the moon is also big. The ship is just a tiny speck on space. It doesn't suffer that attraction from gravity because it's too small. You cannot put the same in the same category because they are completely different in terms of mass, right? So the mass that affects the moon is completely different from the mass that affects Artemis, because Artemis doesn't even feel it. It's going at incredible speed in the direction to intersect the orbit of the moon, right? And they are telling us that they have energy to turn around and come back to the Earth when everything is moving. Nothing is where it's supposed to be or where it was when you launch from the Earth. it's far, far away. I'm sorry. It's far, far away, and you have to catch it back. And they're saying that we never leave the same angle to the Earth. It's always the same angle to the Earth.
It is, because that's why you see always the one side of the moon. This is the paradox, that it is only one. So
If they were keeping up with the moon, which they aren't, the moon is no longer there when they reach the orbit. You watch the
Yeah,
animations.
but it's always in the same relativity to the Earth, but on the other side of the globe, let's say. So once it's, let's say, it would come back to me here in Poland, and once it will come back to the US. So, but it's always.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Okay, well,
Don't-
I will
Alright.
shut up. This is for another. I'm dragging this down. I'm sorry.
As interesting as this is, I think we're here to talk about Mars.
Mars.
Well,
Yeah, let's go back to Mars.
First of all, I love you guys. This is great. Ricardo, I love I just love the passion here. I'm not sure if I'm following all of it, but I think I understand the premise here is that you're skeptical of how they're able to maneuver this Artemis spacecraft, especially considering the motions of the planets. And I guess the only thing that I would add to the conversation is that I think the reason why we know throughout history, when we've tracked planets' orbits, and wondering why Mercury goes in retrograde, for example, or just when we identified that they're not perfect circles, that they're more elliptical and things like that. Like, we can predict where planets are going to be. We can predict that the Shoemaker-Levy 9 asteroids were going to collide with Jupiter back in the 90s. Like, we know enough of, so surely they must have figured this out. I think I agree with what, I don't think there's any contention regarding this spiral formation, which is really cool to see. It's probably a little exaggerated because they're just trying to fit everything in there, but I think in general we do need to keep that in mind. Am I right, Ricardo? They're not going to go around the moon to slingshot them back. They're going to go past it and turn around.
In the chat, anything 6398. I think he's trying to describe being inside a cyclone and trying to move in straight orbits between Earth and Moon. Very well put. Thanks, Chet.
And regarding what you're saying, so what we see in the trajectory that is presented on the on the NASA information, is that they will intercept the moon as the moon passes at high speed, because they are perpendicular to it. So imagine you were trying to catch a photograph of a Formula One car as it passes by, right? So they will see a little bit of the back part, but they will be as further as any human has been from the Earth, because they will bypass the orbit of the moon and then will turn around without engines. They will turn around and come back to the Earth. That's what they're telling us, right? Because they're using the residual gravity force of the moon that is no longer there to help them make the 180-degree maneuver to then come back to the Earth.
But it's all relative, isn't it? I mean, how much in the span of a few days is the moon actually moving relative to the rest of the solar system?
The moon is moving, I think, at 10 kilometers per second or something.
I know,
like
but it's all relative. Relative to what, though? So look,
I don't know.
I don't have an informed, insightful perspective on this, but it's an interesting debate. And one day we're going to do this in person. It's going to be so much fun. I'm just so happy to be here with this awesome group of people.
I'm sorry to derail this. It's just it's not that I'm trying to put my opinion forward. I'm just raising questions that we have no explanation.
About Artemis specifically, or about
about how we maneuver in space, about the fact that we are being tugged at this incredible speed. You
okay.
heard how many kilometers we do a year in space, and we haven't crashed with anything, right? Because everything is moving. Everything is moving.
But if you're calling into question whether or not we can get to a planet.
No, I'm not. Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Well, Okay, then I'm just gonna sum it up here. I mean, surely somebody's figured it out. We've landed
Sure.
on Mars, and assuming that these photographs, like assuming I'm spending my day working on something that's real. God, I hope it is. You know, I hope the people on the internet who say space is fake and gay aren't right, because that would just be a whole waste of my time.
No, but
Well,
no,
that's what I was
No,
trying
Brian,
to
I
get
figured
at.
it out. It's the combustion rockets that are fake and gay, but they've actually got all the things that can bleep in and out interdimensionally that they just don't tell us about. That's what they use to get the rovers there.
Okay.
I'm just
Well,
messing, man. I'm just
maybe. Maybe.
I'm a passionate by space exploration, by space. I always have been, and I'm not trying to dismiss any of it. I'm just trying to say that the explanations we are given either are extremely complex and I'm stupid, or there is something missing in there, right? It's always the chance that I'm stupid, because I've been wrong before. I remember once in 1947. So it happened before, so it can happen again. But it's just I would like some concise explanations with the reality of physics, and not with this disk of a stationary sun that they always explain us how they're going to do things.
Yeah,
That's all.
sure. I get it. I get it. It's an interesting inquiry for sure.
Yeah, for me, it just like it just brings into the general idea that we don't really know shit. We're just about like at the same time, I'm inclined to believe that we have the math that it takes to go to the moon and come back, and go to Mars and come back. I mean, we have a shitload of evidence for it. And when they're doing these projects, we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of people designing these projects, doing the math, checking everything out over and over and over again. And so when I'm looking at this stuff to bring it back to Mars, I feel like I'm looking at real shit that John Ward is showing me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let me see if I can let's see, offer a pivot point here. Ricardo, certainly you're familiar with the plasma cosmology model of the universe, right? The electric universe stuff, which
Yes.
we're going to get into a different day. We're going to have to start at the very basic level. There's what we know most commonly as the standard model of the universe, all the Einstein stuff and defining gravity as most commonly understood by everybody. Then there's an entirely different line of study which defines the universe and describes how the universe works in an entirely different way, which fundamentally is based on electromagnetism, which does have a different explanation for how the solar system functions, based less on what we know as gravity and more on what we know as electromagnetism. It's an entirely different line of study. However, Mars specifically has evidence of this plasma cosmology model written all over it in the form of electrical scarring, which is a whole different discussion. But I do think that when you take into consideration the plasma cosmology model of the universe and how it affects terrestrial planets, number one, it offers an entirely different understanding of the way things work. But number two, it also offers an explanation for why we see so much scarring on the planet of Mars and its history, its violent history, its terrifying history. We'll get into it more, but you guys know that big giant scar the size of the United States. This is, NASA will say this is volcanism. They'll say it's flooding. They'll say it's plate tectonics, but it's not. It's it's electromagnetism on steroids, essentially frying the entire planet. This blew my mind when I got into it. It's for a different. It requires a whole series of conversations. Regardless, I really appreciate you guys hanging out and talking about this stuff. I mean, this is really great. We have some brilliant people here, and I really enjoy the debate and the discussion that we have going around the room, having different perspectives, different set of eyes on things as well. Have our different areas of expertise, and that is exactly what Mars needs. You know, we've got our researchers. We've got our communicators, but we've got other people here with a passion for just trying to figure out just what the hell is going on. And, you know, I consider the way I frame Mars for people is I feel like it is the redheaded stepchild of disclosure. So I think we've got a fair shot at changing the perspective here. And it's really because of the wonderful people here. So I just want to thank you guys again for doing this. We're just getting started with these live streams. You know, Dave and I tossed around the idea of trying to do more of these per month. We'll see if that manifests or not, see if that feels right.
Our chat is already saying, Brian, so a conversation next week, and Vapor Missile, I think, just put on everything you just said, Brian, and he said it before you started talking. He said, this is fun. I think they all have different paradigms. So that is, you know, quite a compliment, I think, to the group we've got discussing here is we all do have different places we're coming from, and it's very valuable.
Agreed. And again, we're on 7 YouTube channels, 3 X channels, and a Facebook channel right now, which is, like, to me, super fun. And
that's insane.
It is. And we're talking about Mars from a different paradigm than when we grew up in the 90s and what we thought Mars was and what Mars could be and what Mars is, based on new science like Ricardo's talking about. And, you know, Jason mentioned it a couple times, but like secrecy is a problem when it comes to this, because we're all like sitting around asking a lot of really good questions to answers we don't have that other people do, you know, and that's how we're trying to figure this shit out. And that's great and all, like, let's keep doing that, but also tell us the truth, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right,
What
Jason?
we need the people to push on to Brian on Joe Rogan.
Secrets are the problem.
To have
Yeah,
Brian
secret
Joe
societies, Dave. Secrets have been the problem with humanity and with knowledge and with wisdom from the very get-go. I agree with that. Get the truth out there and let us all have what is our right, which is the truth about the reality in which we find ourselves.
It's time.
It is.
I think we're ready. Contrary to the Brookings report, I think we are ready.
For disclosure, right? We're ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Who's not ready for disclosure right now? Most people have an open mind right now.
Of course, yeah.
There's people within my personal life who have more of an open mind now than I've ever seen them have. And I didn't even think they would have. And now they're looking at shit and they're going, maybe this is all bullshit, right?
That's normal. They're legalizing drugs in the States. So more states have drugs, so people are opening their minds more and more. So
good.
God bless
Just-
America.
Just a preview of what's to come. John just brought up Brookings. I think we were going to try to get into it today. I don't think we have the time, but we did mention this before regarding their secretive nature, regarding exactly what they're willing to disclose or not. There is a valid reason to believe that NASA really isn't telling us all that they know. It's literally written into their founding charter. So we'll get into the details of that later, but a preview of what's to come. We've gotten right to the sexy stuff, guys. We sort of skipped over some of the more mundane stuff, but the mundane stuff could be very interesting, and in my opinion, help support the sexy stuff. We still have to talk about the evidence for current microbial life. That's a whole different discussion. We still have to talk about the evidence for fossils. We still have to talk about the let's see, I don't know how much you guys want to talk about water, but it's all over the planet. So, NASA's motto is follow the water, and they're looking at the
Water and trees.
Yeah.
I've shown them the water and trees.
And trees. Well, that's going to be, we'll talk about that. So, when they're talking about the icy outer moons, wanting to find water, or rather life there, and getting there is going to be a very difficult task. And why the astrobiology community isn't prioritizing Mars is an absolute mystery. But we have to talk about that. We have to talk about the destruction of the atmosphere. And there's two different competing hypotheses, and we have to go through all the details of each one of them and I'd throw it around the room and see what makes sense to everybody, because there's a lot to educate people on. And then, I am challenging myself to really see if any of this stuff just doesn't hold up, and I need to bounce these ideas. It's not just me, but I guess in pursuit of the truth, it helps to just toss around these ideas to see if there's any other perspective that I or the people actually doing the research haven't thought of yet, because sometimes intuition can come from the strangest places. But then, we also have to talk about the metaphysical analysis of Mars. We mentioned remote viewing, we mentioned channeling, and each one of those has something to inform us about, and what they're talking about in those spaces correlates with the data. So, this is why I put the film together, is because you put this all together and there's one compelling story. And I'm so glad you guys are being, you're receptive to this, because it does take a while to unpack it, because we're dealing with 50 years of research that NASA, they've collected. They just haven't done a really good job of explaining. So that's really what the impetus of this is all about. And Dave, I want to thank you for doing this and organizing it. And this is a really well-run operation. Dave's the man here, so let's give it up for Dave.
Kudos to Dave.
Yeah. And thanks for everybody else for joining. God,
Sorry,
Dave,
I was muted, but please thank Megan as well. Megan's been running this show behind the scenes as well.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Oh, if you insist, okay, Megan. Thank you.
My
Thank you.
dang computer crashed 2 times during this, okay? And Megan's been running all the tickers and stuff, so in the chat and everything. So
she's doing producer duties in front of camera talent with the costume. I mean, my
Well
goodness.
done. Yeah, awesome.
Please.
Wow,
please.
man.
I appreciate you guys. I'm just stoked that I get to be in this incredible conversation with all you experts, and I get to be like the novice on scene that just gets to soak it all in. I'm very grateful to be there.
You heard that. We are all experts. You heard that.
The chat has been very grateful for the presence of Megan and Sarah here on this panel. I have noticed.
Otherwise, it'd be a big sausage fest. No one
We
likes
need more
that.
women in this space. I'm grateful also that you guys are up for that.
Well,
I'm
we
glad
do-
I'm not the only woman.
Listen,
Just
we
wanna
do
say
need
that.
more
Yeah.
women in this space. That is the
lot
truth.
more.
That is the truth from Jesus himself, according to Scott Walter. Check my interview out that just dropped with him.
true.
Sorry, but Scott Walter aside, we're entering an age where the divine feminine is going to be way more important than we ever possibly imagined, and we're going to need
It's our
that.
time, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may not be easy either, but we're going to need all of us, and it's going to have to be an equal thing. And that's what the stars say. Stephen Burns told me. Episode drops in 2 weeks. Look, guys, Mars Disclosure is one of those things that just brings childlike wonder and joy to my heart, because it's something that I have been dreaming about for a really long time. So being just a part of this, and hopefully that it grows and grows and grows, makes me so happy and brings so much joy to my heart. I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to give some closing words as I play some smooth outplay music, but I'm just going to Brady Bunch it. So Jason, you're up first. Let's go.
I don't have anything to say except thank you all very much. I love getting together with a group of people who have similar yet different paradigms. And I guess to keep it Mars related, I'll end with what I started with, which is this ontological shock is a myth. You know, it really is, and we just need to get on with bringing the truth of our past to the present, right? And I'll end with my line, which is our best future requires the truth of our past, guys. If we're going to get to where we're going, we have to know where we've been. And right now, the world is trying to keep us from our greatest potential. So it is our responsibility for us and all that come afterwards to get us to that greatest potential by getting these truths out there. Thank you all for letting me be a part of it.
Love you, Jason, and thank you so much for joining Mars Disclosure Live. John, you're next on the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, thanks, guys and girls. May the Mars be with you, and may the truth set you free.
Love it. Sarah, what's up?
Trust yourself. Don't listen to anybody else. You go on your own journey and you listen to what's in you. Don't listen to these outside stuff. Come sit with us. We all have a different expertise, and you can pick it apart with us. And we're glad to be here and sorting this whole puzzle of life out with all of you. And check us out at Universe Unveiled.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent podcast. Also check out John Ward on YouTube. Oleg, my man.
I really enjoyed today.
Oleg.
It's very late. Yes, you can check my book Deja Vu has everything already been, and you can find me on plenty of social media. Just copy and paste my name and surname, Alexander Czeszkiewicz. Really enjoyed today. Theory discussions with Ricardo, but not only. All of the information coming. Can't wait for another one.
Well, I got to tell you, I want to bring Oleg and Ricardo onto the show together to talk about this. How about we do that?
We're
Ricardo,
only trying to arrange that for a year and a half, so it will eventually happen.
Let's do it.
Just get him over to the Shaman and the Philosopher. Come on, Dave. You can't poach everything out of
Actually,
this.
yeah, Oleg's been on my show like 3 or 4 times. Oleg should definitely go on the Shaman and Philosopher. I will agree with that. Do that next. Ricardo, you're next in the Brady Bunch. Mars Disclosure Live. Where are we at?
Brady Bunch.
Well, I think we are, as Brian says, just in the beginning, and these are the things that are just to give people the impression of what is to come, because I think there's so many things that we have to look in that are just as impressive or more impressive than we already have seen. And in regards to the Shaman and the Philosopher, we are going to be live in less than an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's my third today. So I had the trialogues. This excellent show, and then I'm going live and I still have to go and get my guests.
Yeah, and you already blew your wad and spent all your energy on this one, so I guess that means I better come up with something for our show, huh?
I have plenty of energy still left. Don't worry, Jason.
I can see the passion in you.
I gotta say though, the Institute for Natural Philosophy, Sarah was live already today doing the Universe Unveiled. Is it called UU News?
UU News every Sunday at 11:11.
Yep, and then she was also here. Ricardo's going 3-peat. I was in his Trilog chat earlier. Excellent discussion. Jason, all over the place. I just really wanted to shout out the Institute for Natural Philosophy. They just dropped their 3rd edition of Pharos magazine, right? Is it the 3rd one?
Yes, exactly, the 3rd
one. It's absolutely gorgeous. So go to Institute for Natural Philosophy. I guess .org or .com.
.org, yeah, .org.
Outstanding. Yeah. Great stuff. Hardest working group in show business. Megan, you're next. What's up? Producer of the Multiverse. Thank you so much for all your help tonight.
Let me just say goodbye. I'm sorry, Megan. Let me just say goodbye. I really have to go.
Bye, Ricardo.
Thank you all. Brian, outstanding work. John, everybody here. Thank you very much for it. Okay.
See you, Ricardo. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, dude. See you later.
Dave,
Megan.
I love that you called out the Brady Bunch thing. That's like what I've been thinking this whole time.
Me as well.
I want to be like, I think I just want to take this moment to thank all of the viewers that tuned in today. And we're just on fire in the chat. we couldn't do this live stream without all of these amazing people tuning in to comment and give their feedback, throw in guesses, feed us little bits of information that maybe we didn't know or hadn't thought about. And it's really important to this channel. So I hope everybody keeps tuning in and the audience just keeps growing. And we have all sorts of minds involved in this amazing investigation. So thank you to everybody.
Megan,
Yeah.
you rock. You rock. And our new guest today, Mr. Matt Barone, what'd you think about Mars Disclosure Live today?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I really want to thank you, Dave and Megan, for hosting this and making this happen. I mean, everyone in here is playing their part in adding a significant piece to the puzzle to get this across the finish line. I think we're going to see some significant jumps in not only in our lifetime, but I think in the very near future. So my hope is that everyone just keeps on reporting on this, putting out good evidence like everyone here is doing. And that's what kind of moves the needle forward. And it'll begin to snowball. And before you know it, you're like in a brand new room where everyone's just like, oh, obviously this is what's going on. So thank you guys, everybody. It was really fun.
Nice. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much, Matt. Next time we'll have a ticker up for you.
You promise.
The face behind the I'm sorry, buddy, but you're the face behind the Mars Disclosure movement.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to thank you for that. And we all support you from behind the scenes here, but you're the face of this, man. And thank you so much for taking that on.
My pleasure. Again, thanks for everybody for being here. Matt, it's nice for you to join. We ran long. I'm happy you rejoined us here. I wanted to mention one of these days we're going to do a deep dive into the face on Mars, and Matt actually joined me for my YouTube analysis of the face. There's a whole lot to it that most people aren't aware of. And there's some geometry involved, and Matt is a geometry teacher, so him and I did some of that analysis there. It requires a whole show in and of itself, and I think when we have the right when it's the right time, we'll get Gary on here. I know Matt will be interested to talk more about Gary's work as well. So I'm really happy we could all do this again, and we're getting momentum, man. The news coverage, and with people like you taking interest in this, I mean, you guys are going to inspire a whole. Look at Oleg's background. I can't get enough of Oleg's background. Like that's a brilliant looking background. People will take this stuff seriously just because of his awesome background.
I know, right? And that's real, by the way. That's real.
I know.
And it encourages me to see how many young people are into this. Thank you. I don't know how long I'm going to be around. I'm glad to see there's young people involved in this to carry on the legacy.
I know. Yeah. We need new blood. That's it. We need more blood. That's great. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks.
I'll end with we don't. The paradigm is shifting. Disclosure is happening. We're learning the truth. I think the other side of the bumpy road, when it comes to Mars, when it comes to everything, the other side of the bumpy road is going to be glorious. Be a knight, meaning protect yourself and your honor, and also be kind to everyone that you meet, because we're going to need each other moving forward, and the truth is coming out. So thank you, everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining the multiverse. The multiverse is not just my channel, okay? It's all my friends. It's all my collaborators. It's everyone in the chat, everyone who's watching. So nothing but love. Thank you so much. And let's
be the change you want to see.
Love you guys.
Yep. Let's end it.
Thank you.